revolution begins. I'm expecting a fight, hoping for a war. We are the Bullet Club. I am the greatest living professional wrestler alive. One by one, they will all follow me. Bada boom, realest guys in a room. How you know? Feed me more.
I have a message for you. Soon, my disciples of death will be after your gold. But tonight, death is coming for you, son of havoc. 1,000 of them.
Back off, bitch.
Oh, God. Please don't tell me you guys are getting back together.
Shut up!
Ladies and gentlemen, wrestling to the mat.
And your hosts, Gary Vaughn, Sean Garmer, and Paul Deezer.
Hello and welcome to Wrestling Max episode 151. Gary, what are we doing today?
Well, today we are going to be talking about our normal stuff. No big topics, but this one huge one. Vince McMahon has been on the news quite a while, and of course, especially this week, lots of rumors flying around, lots of different things. So we're going to jump into some of Vince McMahon's quirms and quabbles with everybody. We're talking about the announce team, what the rules are for those guys, and of course, some other micromanagement things that may be affecting the WWE. And we are talking about maybe even affecting the USA Network, which, you know, that's a big deal. That's their money maker for the most part when it comes to TV. And so we're going to be talking about a lot of different things like that because it all flows in. We're talking some GFW, of course, a lot more news coming out of there, a lot of big news topics. Plus, don't forget, we are going to be talking about Monday Night Raw and NXT. Also, we got Lucha Underground, TNA on ROH. So we got plenty of show reviews, and of course, our always lovely Superstar of the Week. We'll be crowning one of those this week, and trust me, it was a little bit difficult choice at times when it comes to Superstar of the Week this week. So you will be very interested to see who we choose. Lots of great options this week. So, man, we've got a full show for everybody. Lots of stuff. You're going to want to stick around for the entire show. Trust me, it is going to be great. But besides that, you know, we're just sitting here chilling. We got to, of course, enjoy the 4th of July this past weekend and all that. And I'm sure, I hope you guys had a great one. I sure did. It was fun. And I want to know one thing. It was really cool to get a chance to do a lot of the things with the family and all that this past weekend. And I got to go to not a restaurant, but it was actually a old soda shop in downtown Dallas, and it was a cool place because it was been over 100 years old. 1912 was when it opened, so that was a blast. It's kind of cool to go to some historic things like that, and it's still open to this day. So I had a good time over the 4th of July weekend. How about you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really do much. I got to watch fireworks after I got off work on Saturday and sort of vegged till I had to start the whole work week over again.
Oh, man. Real world always affects you, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad you get to do something, you know. It's nice to enjoy those kind of things, at least those small moments, at least. How about you, Sean? Did you do anything fun?
I live really close to the Homestead NASCAR track, so they had the fireworks there. We went for, I think, like 20 minutes, just went and saw them, and I mean, you know, it's one of those, like, you see them, and at some point they all become the same, and, you know, you don't necessarily have to stay for the whole thing. And then, you know, we just kind of, after that, just is whatever.
Yeah.
I had to stay up for Dominion, so
Yeah.
I think the real question is whether we all still have 10 fingers or not.
Yeah.
Because
exactly.
Jason Pierre-Paul does not have 10 fingers after this 4th of July.
Yeah, and what's his name? Eric something lost 2 fingers.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That is not cool. And one guy lost his head. So, it's a lot of crazy stuff with fireworks.
At least we don't have to worry about having medical reports published about us. So.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. But you know what? I wouldn't mind the payday that JPP is going to be getting pretty soon with the hospital someone allowed Adam Schefter to get some information they should not have had from his medical records. So, yeah, we'll be hearing about the hospital that JPP owns pretty soon. But yeah, one other thing to note, I did have a birthday this past week, and every year I don't think about this until it comes to...
we feel like pieces of crap now.
No.
Happy birthday on the podcast.
I didn't say that because of that. The reason I'm talking about it was because every year I forget this momentous occasion happened on my birthday. The NWO was actually born on July 7th, and it was, of course, 19 years ago. This year, actually. So it's really kind of interesting. I always forget that the NW was born on my birthday. I think it's neat. So anyway,
we all told you.
Oh,
we told you private. I mean, I think last year we did the whole thing with Great Khali or whatever. So.
Yeah, no, I'm not, that's great and all. I appreciate everybody that did on the Facebook page. That was really kind, and I thanked everybody for that. That was really sweet. So I had to mention that. The NWO thing is always cool. Plus, me being a big WCW guy, I got to mention it, So.
Yeah, of course.
Well, guys, I guess we should go ahead and jump into some quick hits, and we have some really cool topics to talk about this week, so I'm really excited about talking about it. And just to let everybody know, you can also call in on this podcast, and Sean, give them that number.
It's 972-591-8620.
There you go. And don't forget, you can hit us up on the Spreaker page. That is where we're on live right now. You can go on there, and there is a chat bubble. You get on there, hey, and chat away, and I'm sure Sean's on there right now. You can chat a little bit, kind of give your thoughts about what we're talking about, and we'd love to hear from you guys. So, but besides that, we are going to get into Quick Hits, and just to let you know, Quick Hits is sponsored by Math Tumbler. Math Tumbler is an awesome game on the Google Play Store you can go check out. Download this game. Now, when you go to your Google Play Store and you search for it, it may not be the first thing you hit, but you push the More button, find it on the list. It is an available game for everybody to play. It's fun for all ages. And not only does it get your mind working, but it's a fun game that even people who don't really care about math will get addicted to. Trust me, these people are really great people. The people that developed the game are actually going to help us develop a new logo for this podcast. And so we want to support them because they're supporting us. So do us a favor. If you like us and you just want to help us out, go download that app. Make sure you go, click a few ads on there if you want to. Help us all out. So, all right, guys, it is time.
That was a wonderful live read there, Gary.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Let's jump into it, guys. Let's do some quick hits.
Let me actually find. There we go. I was sitting there going, I know I'm pressing the right button. Hold on.
It's time for wrestling news. Quick hits.
Well, we're going to jump into the big topic because it's really interesting, and I want to make sure that if nothing else, this topic gets talked about. The rest of the news, kind of light. We don't need to jump into it as much if we can't get into it. But micromanagement has been a thing with Vince McMahon. We've all known this for a long time. Any wrestling fan that pays attention to WB especially, they know this is a fact. He's micromanaging those poor announcers on Raw. We hate on the announcers a lot of times. After watching Beast in the East and seeing the job that Michael Cole
Apparently
did,
Johnny Ace had a lot to do with that.
I'm thankful to Johnny Ace for that, for sure. Johnny Ace did a few other great things on that show, I have to say. I love the way he set things up.
I wish he was around now. I miss People Power. Can't believe I'm saying
Yeah, I know. You always miss what you lost. It's one of those things. But, it was interesting about this is we did see that Michael Cole and Byron Saxton did a wonderful job in that show, Beast in the East. Nobody in their ear. But guess what? You watch Raw, and then all of a sudden it's all back, all the stuff that we hate. And it's interesting to me because of the fact that it is because of Vince McMahon micromanaging every little thing. And, of course, he's also got a whole list, apparently, that just was leaked this week of rules for these announcers. And so I want to jump into that first. We're going to jump into something else about Vince McMahon, but let's jump into this first. I think it's interesting because of the fact that we've always known that there's some certain things they can't do, even tiny little things like they can't say the word backbreaker because, they have some lawsuits out there.
That was apparently new, though.
It's a new one, but it's out there now, so you can't. That's been a wrestling move term for ages, and now that's off the table. So, I mean, thinking about this, guys, and I'm sure you guys have seen these rules, so I'm not going to go over all of them. And if you haven't, dude, there's so many of them, I can't do it. Well, the 3 hours of this podcast will be filled with rules, so I'm not going to do it. Go check it out on your websites. Look for it. But, Paul, what do you think about this? I mean, this is kind of funny to see all these rules that these announcers have to go through.
The length of it, I think, is just the most ridiculous part. There are way too many rules. There's more rules in here than there are in the government, and that's saying a lot.
It's true.
I mean, now to be fair, some of that is actually really good, pertinent information. Some of the guidelines and stuff like that. Actually, I would recommend if you want to be an announcer for wrestling, there's actually some really good notes in here that. I mean, a lot of it is common sense if you are not an idiot, but but a lot of this is just don't say that the referee didn't see something. Say that his vision was impaired. So, isn't that the same thing? Something got in his way instead of he didn't see it. Some of the stuff is just so dumb.
It is. Look at. Okay, I have a pet peeve about this. Over the years, yes, there are certain terms.
You can't say hospital, Gary. You cannot say hospital. I mean, what's wrong with saying hospital?
Oh my goodness. But my deal about this, and I know Stone Cold Steve Austin has a problem with it, and several. But you can't call the championship belt the strap or any other terms. You have to call it the championship.
You can't call it a belt.
Yeah, championship. You have to call it the championship or whatever. It's a belt. That's what they wear it around their waist. I'm sorry. See, this is why I get frustrated with this stuff, Paul.
You can't say DQ even. You can't say the word interesting. Now you can't. What? Oh man, I just a lot of it makes sense. What's so funny is he gives you all these guidelines and then afterwards he says, be yourself. So after you have all this stuff that you have to digest that you can't say, you still say be yourself. So exactly how you're supposed to be yourself when you have to constantly remember you can't say these things.
Right.
And then looking back on it, you can totally tell when Michael Cole's reading off a piece of paper during Beast of the East because, yeah, after watching it and knowing all this stuff now, it's so funny. Some of this stuff is really old from 2008 and 2009, but it's still there. So, it's just really funny.
Yeah.
Like I said, a lot of this stuff is actually good stuff. If you want to go read, what they have to think about and what they have to, some things that you might want to actually use if you want to be an announcer or whatever. But I think it's really funny, the one that says, tell them not to read the dirt sheets. Don't say anything about anything being 5 stars or match of the year or whatever. Why? Well, why is that a problem? All this, obviously you shouldn't say about every match or whatever, but I'm glad that they at least let him say it for the Cesaro match or the Owens and Cena one or whatever. But some of the stuff that they can't say is just, I don't know.
Yeah. And I totally agree. And it's a whole list. And once again, I encourage anyone listening, go read it for yourself. If you've not already read it, and some of you may have already read it, so you know exactly what we're talking about. But this brings up another part of this micromanagement. And this is the fact that Tough Enough right now is not getting the best ratings And, sure, it's a Tuesday night, but guess what? Tuesday nights, people are home more. This isn't a Friday. This isn't even a Thursday. So that the home audience is bigger on a Tuesday night, but yet Tough Enough's ratings are not there. No one's jumping on board with this thing like probably some of the past years of Tough Enough. And a lot of it has to do with the pure wrestling fans not getting a chance to see wrestling on these shows. These shows are primarily about the people going to the bars, what they're arguing about in their bunks, and all these other things besides what's in the ring. So wrestling fans are kind of disconnected here, besides getting to see Hulk Hogan and the rest of those people and judges and all the other, Billy Gunn, who's a trainer, and Booker T. So just saying all that, I mean, this is interesting to me because it seems like USA Network is upset and they're talking about the fact that they're not happy with WB over this, and they think that, honestly, the world of wrestling on a downward turn. So I think maybe they're kind of wondering about their investment here, especially just this new show. They're probably spending quite a bit of money helping produce and do things like that. I want to know what you guys think about this, though, because is this another micromanaged situation where they went and got in depth with this and just totally changed everything and took away what Tough Enough once was?
Well, this is we also should preface this by saying that USA said in a statement that they feel they apparently are not connected to that, which is really weird because it doesn't make any sense. Like, why would WWE decide to change something that has always worked for them without some kind of input from USA? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, so USA had nothing to do with turning it into a game show that you are now lambasting and saying that it's a game show and that's why it sucks. And it's like, anybody could have told you that wrestling as a game show sucks. I mean, like, whoever thought, let's have Family Feud, the wrestling version? Like, it's not going to work. And, like, Chris Jericho does look like a total game show host because that's what he's doing. He's hosting a game show. Like, and some of the stuff, like, you knew this before you even greenlit Tough Enough that none of the winners do anything. It's the other ones, the ones that don't win, that do something. I mean, like, some of the stuff that USA is mad about is stupid. But I totally agree. You can't have voting and have judges because one of them's going to get shortchanged. And you can't have voting in 5 minutes. It just doesn't work like that.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. And now, Paul, you haven't seen Tough Enough, have you? Or have you watched any of it?
I haven't watched any of it.
Okay.
But it's really funny to me that they're wondering why their core audience isn't there when there's no wrestling on the show. That is a show about making people into wrestlers. I don't, there's some logical gap there that just isn't connecting for USA, I'm assuming.
Yeah, exactly. And, and I've watched the show. I've forced myself. I still haven't finished episode 3. I haven't. It's not on my priority list. And here's the thing, just by watching it, I mean, you kind of get the gist of where Sean's coming from here. I personally have always thought, since the show started, how in the world, I don't watch it live anyway, so I don't get to vote, but how in the world are you going to only give someone 5 minutes to vote on what they just saw? Because most of the people now are not always watching live. It's not the era. We're not forced to watch things live.
Yeah, that's why American Idol always gave you a week, and that's before we had DVRs being big and everything.
Yeah, right. I mean, I'm a big supporter of America's Got Talent. I always enjoyed this show. I just enjoy talent shows. So I love the fact that if I'm going to vote, I at least have this time period of 24 hours to vote for somebody and decide if I like their, whatever they're doing. And, it's good. I had till the next day. I'm not forced to right then do it. So anyway, I agree. And USA, they're trying
to be
step
fair,
away.
This week's actually had something to do with wrestling. It was about making your character. And they did entrances and stuff like that. So it's still a part of wrestling. It's not like they went to the swamp and swam in a river. Like, that has nothing to do with wrestling at all. At least this, you can sort of equate it to something because you at least go through this when you make your wrestler in the video game, and And, you really do have to think about these things if, you're going to have the total package and all that. So it's not wrestling per se, but it's something that has to do with wrestling. So that might have been why the rating went up. More people were interested.
That could be the case. It could, but still, personally for me, that's not what I care about as in watching this show. I'm watching this show because I want to see how they're training these guys to take those bumps. How is someone going to take the big boot? How is someone going to handle this other situation in a ring? I haven't even seen him hit the ropes yet in 3 episodes, unless you saw it on the end of.
Wasn't that the thing? The first thing they did? That was
did
in that. That was in that.
It was barely
that training thing that they did at the beginning, where they slammed the weight and all that. They had to.
That's right. But they did it for 2. Okay, so that's the problem. I've already forgotten that because they showed it for literally a minute and a half.
But they do it in fast forward, so you really couldn't tell.
It is
how they're running the ropes or whatever. Anyway.
So Paul, basically everything you used to see, they do what you saw in 20 minutes in a minute and a half, if that.
That's awful. Mm-hmm. What was wrong with last season's formula? I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
And then they blame Jericho, and it's like they don't realize that last season's formula was built around Stone Cold. Stone Cold couldn't do this either. Nobody could. I don't think even Bob Barker could do this. It's just you could have a trained game show host try to do this, and they'd be like, "What? We're doing voting in 5 minutes? That's it." I don't think even Ryan Seacrest could get up there and figure out what this is. Just
no.
And that's the thing too. If you have it for a week, you can have a bunch of people talk about it and go, "Hey, did you watch this? You should watch this." Or at least go watch the little 30-minute thing on the network later and learn about the people, and then you can decide who you want to vote for and all this stuff. Give people time to think about it. If not, they're going to go off the people that they like because they don't fight as much or act like douches or just,
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of ranting and raving and a lot of things about it. But, the bottom line here is the fact that the USA Network is kind of pointing fingers at WWE saying, oh, it's all them. Why are they doing this? It's all on fire. Why? And USA had something to do with it. They probably wanted something that was glamorous, something more, maybe MTV-ish / TLC.
But this also does scream WWE because it screams, we didn't think about this for a long time. Because if you're thinking about it for a long time, how the hell do you do voting in 5 minutes?
Well, I think once again, we're talking about micromanagement. I really think that Vince McMahon really did sit down with his group, and he probably had some ideas and said, 5 minutes is plenty. And he probably thought, why are we showing so much in the ring? We don't want to give away too much. People care more about these people swimming in a swamp than they do seeing them in the ring. Let's give them that kind of stuff.
I actually think that has to do with USA. There's no way that the network... I mean, I can't imagine that USA had to have said, okay, we need to come up with a way where this is sort of like a thing like The Voice or American Idol that you see now. And then everybody got together and they all figured out this vomit that we're getting every Tuesday. And I mean, to me, and then the other thing too is the Tough Talk thing on the network takes away from the thing, the Tough Enough itself, because the Tough Talk is better than Tough Enough. Because The Miz is way better at ad-libbing than Jericho is at, Christopher said, looking like he took a little pill that made him all happy and whatever, and he just looks so stupid up there doing that.
Anybody
anybody would. But I think that the whole point is that not only that, if you didn't listen to us talk about it on the show where we did Dominion, they give away the show. During Tough Talk, they tell you that the show is fake. They tell you that they fight for the cameras. If you're telling me that, I'm not going to watch this.
Yeah.
If it wasn't because we did this podcast, I wouldn't watch it.
Me too.
I would not watch it because I don't care if you're going to tell me that you're... I mean, hey, at least Total Divas doesn't go around telling me that every time they fight, it's for the camera. Mm-hmm. At least there's a little bit of suspending disbelief because they already do this on a weekly basis anyway, and you can sort of go, oh, cool, okay, well, this might work for a feud or something on TV. But
Yeah.
for Tough Enough, none of this works. And then not only that, but, okay, so we have like 2 guys that you really care about on that show. The ZZ dude, who doesn't get involved in stupid things, and then Patrick, because he's the only one that's apparently a wrestling fan on that entire show. He's the only one that actually cared to watch Beast in the East. And then all the other people said, oh, I didn't care. I wasn't getting up. I'm not going to watch it. I don't care. And then Paige just blasted him. Like, why are you not watching the product that you're going to be a superstar for? Why are you not watching the product that you're going to be a superstar for? Like, that's just dumb.
It shows you, though. It shows you right there, though, how these people are not geared towards what they're saying they are. They are saying that they're there to become WWE superstars. They're excited. They love the business. And yet they don't even care to watch it when they have the network for free in their bunk. They could just go in there and watch it. I don't know. It's just an amazing thing to me that if this is true, if this is not the whole work thing, and he legitimately woke up and watched it early in the morning and no one else did, it's a shock. It really does.
Even then, they made it seem like they never watched it at all during the week or anything.
Mm-hmm. That's even worse.
You know? So, I mean, now that part could have been embellished a little bit so that Paige could yell at him, but that's the thing about the Tough Talk thing, is it's supposed to made to feel like it all just happens right there. It's all live, so they don't have time to go back and okay, well, make sure you say this and make sure you say that, and that's why it comes off better, because It's not them just rehearsed. And even the live stuff with the judges is so dumb. Mm-hmm. During the show itself, so
it's all rushed. It's all rushed. That's the biggest part. That's the biggest problem. You don't get enough with any of your judges. You don't get enough time with the trainers. You don't get enough time with anybody. This is very ADD. And I hate to use that term because I know people actually deal with that. But this is on speed. It legitimately is. And they're going from one thing to another, to another, to another, to back and forth, to this, to that. And you don't get enough time to digest anything. And you don't really care because you don't get enough time to digest. So, but we've done enough Tough Enough talk. My point about these things are the fact that, the USA Network does believe wrestling's on a downturn. This makes me wonder about other things like, what are they thinking the next time they need to sign a deal with WWE? Are they going to go less money? Is WWE going to try to fix some things? Because I'm sure they realize these things. That they just had one of their lowest ratings since 1997, 3 weeks ago? And that's a severe situation, if you ask me. If I'm Vince, I'm looking at this and saying, oh my God, how did we get that low? Maybe it's not everybody else. Maybe it's us. Paul, looking at this, do you think that he's actually worried or thinking about this kind of stuff, or do you think they're just, that's just a fluke?
I mean, I would certainly think that you would worry that it's you, but I very much doubt in Vince's mind that he's going to blame himself. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I'm right there with you too. I mean,
they're going to blame. Thank God the rating went up, because if not, they would have blamed Cesaro for the rating going down.
I was about to say, they'll find talent to blame before they'll ever blame themselves.
You mentioned Cesaro, and I know I don't want to switch gears on you guys, but we've kind of talked about the micromanagement.
I meant the whole point of this topic was always supposed to be, if, let's say, something happened, is it going to take something catastrophic for Vince to say, okay, I need to loosen the reins here, because it's obviously hurting my product that is in front of me? And that's the thing that we got into on the group. We had a big discussion about this, various reasons why it could help and it doesn't help, because WWE is under this false sense that because they have no competition, and because they have merch sales, and because people still come out for things, and the network's doing okay, and that they don't need to change anything. And so, will all this stuff with USA being upset and them feeling like wrestling's on a downtrend or whatever make Vince feel like, okay, I need to let my wrestlers loose a little bit. I need to let them have a grasp of themselves, or let the announcers have a little bit more free reign, or whatever. It's just how could you work in an environment where you are just everything you do, as has been said by a lot of the wrestlers, you're walking on eggshells every time. How can you have the mind to think freely when everything you do is being managed to the nth degree? You know, how is your product supposed to improve in that way?
I mean, you would assume the writers would have to figure out something, because if you can't let your talent do it, then your writers have to do it. But very clearly, your writers aren't getting the job done. So either you need to loosen the load on them, or you need to restructure completely how you do writing, or you need to, as you said, let the wrestlers give their inputs, let them feel like they have some free rein to go out there and be the characters that they know that they are.
Do they need to lessen the amount of writers, period? I mean, we already saw The Rock's favorite writer leave. So
I have no idea, because if you restructure, then you give everybody a chance. If you're changing the way you do it just completely all the way around, then you may let writers go. I don't know. I mean, obviously it's just us guessing here. They're gonna do what they're gonna do, but I would restructure before I would fire people. But that's just me running a business personally, because you hate to see anybody lose a job.
Right.
I think that they could definitely use splitting it up if they have 20 writers. Now, I'm sure they have some SmackDown-specific writers or something like that, but they really need to even things up. Make sure that they break it up in divisions. Hey, you guys have the Divas. Okay, you four, you have the IC title. You four have the US title. Just split it up. Let these guys make the show, and then you have one or two writers who are the executives of the writing department who actually take all of it and place it in a certain area and have the show being booked on time. Okay, this is your plans. This is your story. We can only do this. So edit your story down to 10 minutes. Edit your story down to 20 minutes because we're doing this. And I think that'd be good. I mean, I think it would kind of give it all a structure. And I think they're all sitting in a room trying to figure this out, the entire show. Everybody's working on everything. And it's an oversaturation. You're getting too many ideas, too many, things turned down. So for all the good ideas, I'm sure there are a lot of bad ideas going forth, and I don't know. I just have a lot of concerns about that. So yeah, I'm right with you guys. You need to restructure it. I have always thought they needed to trim down the writers, though. They were okay back in the past without as many writers. Come on, what's wrong with 2015? You really need more. So
that's the thing with Vince, though. I guess he just wants a bunch of people around him to tell them, so he can just tell them, "Oh no, I don't like that. Let me just go with whatever." How many times have we heard of Vince just sitting in a room and rewriting the whole thing? I mean, How are you supposed to work like that if whatever you're presenting to someone is always said no? Then why are you going to be encouraged to say anything then, other than what you think he's going to want to hear? Because you're wasting your time at that point.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a lot of things that go on with that, and I've often wondered, I'm not saying I want Vince to go away, but I'm just saying I often wonder when Vince does eventually move on, which that probably means passing.
Die in that chair. Yep.
Yeah, die in that chair. How Triple H is going to handle this, how Stephanie is going to handle this. Because I have a fear that Stephanie's going to watch her father go, and the first thing that she's going to do is run over to Gorilla, grab that headset, and sit down and start barking orders at Michael Cole. Because I'm serious, because my father did this, so it must have been important. I have that fear. I
don't know. I would think that there's a plan in place for that already.
So Vince has already got that plan.
I really hope that Kevin Dunn is fired the moment that Vince decides to do whatever it is that's going to happen with him. Because that guy is also holding that company back so much. Just production-wise, the way things are done in the company, just the thought process that goes on in the company, just a lot of things. I mean, and let's be honest here. The WWE is not terrible. Not there's nothing. There are redeeming qualities of the show. It's not like a bunch of these, yahoos on Twitter and everybody that wrestling WWE is just horrible. There's nothing to watch on this show. There is. You just have to it's bits and pieces. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
they and maybe if I'm Triple H, I really go and try to talk USA into letting me have a 2-hour show again, because that third hour is really hurting them.
Well,
It hurts the format of that show so badly.
Don't you think USA Network, they have to know? They should look at the ratings themselves and say,
They don't care about that, though. They care about the ad revenue that they get for that third hour. That's all they care about.
I understand.
That's more valuable to them than the whatever ratings drop they're going to get for that hour.
But then your advertisers, if I was an advertiser, I would say, okay, don't put my advertisement on that third hour because it's not making the money. I only want to be on the first 2 hours. If advertisers start speaking up, maybe they'll have to change their plan. I don't know. I just, the advertisers have a choice. That's why TNA is having problems, because they have a choice where they go, and they decided not to be on during TNA Impact. And hey, you can decide not to be on that third hour overall. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But, let's move on and talk about some other things, because we do have a few other things that I think are really interesting. You mentioned Cesaro a while ago, Paul, and this guy, of course, has been someone dear to our hearts. We've all loved Cesaro, and just we've seen the path he's been on, and it's not exactly been the one that we wanted. He apparently is finally getting a chance to reach that magical brass ring, at least we think, because the last 2 Raws, he's main evented. He's been given some good praise by some of the bigger superstars. John Cena's one. We'll talk more about that when we get to Raw. But needless to say, we could be seeing an opportunity here for him to maybe be in a triple threat at Battleground. The thought is, you have Cena and Owens who have been feuding, but maybe you don't want to get a situation where, that feud is just taken away completely. So add in the third party, Cesaro can take the pin, and neither Owens or, of course, Cena get pinned. So looking at that situation, what do you think about that? Do you think that Cesaro is being given an opportunity here? And also, what do you think about the fact that they may be putting this feud off until SummerSlam?
I think it's a really silly idea to try to shoehorn Cesaro into something that has been just perfect the way it has been. Cesaro's great. If you don't have a place for him right now, that's fine. You can bookmark him for something after this, or maybe stick him into the Intercontinental title scene, which, let's face it, has been insanely boring. And that's pretty much what this feels like, because they shoehorned The Miz into that. So now they're going to shoehorn Cesaro into something that's already fine. I just, that hurts my brain. Whoever thought of that needs to go away. But you can wait on Cesaro. You can keep him around. You can keep him having these fantastic matches with people. You can have him rack up a winning streak, maybe. That might get some people interested in him. And wait. There's better time than to just shoehorn him in now. Because I don't think that's going to do anybody any favors.
I think you could do this in the inverse. Why not just have the singles match at Battleground, then do the triple threat at SummerSlam? That way Cena doesn't have to get pinned twice. Okay? Twice in consecutive months. And then you can have Cesaro and Owens continue to feud for that title. Instead of... I just think that the Intercontinental... I know that, we don't like Big Show and Miz going on with Ryback over there, but I think that it's going to hurt Ryback, because people are going to start cheering for Cesaro and all this stuff, and you've already tried to do a rebuild job with Ryback. You don't want to hurt that again. You can do the win streak between Battleground and SummerSlam. You really have Cesaro look strong. Cesaro keeps finding ways to get involved in that feud, and then you say, okay, well, we've had it, whatever, triple threat. Okay, and then Cesaro and Owens can go on, do their own thing, and then Cena can do whatever the hell he's going to do after SummerSlam or whatever. I just hate this. How is Cesaro getting pinned again? Which, there's a lot of people that didn't like the fact that Cesaro got pinned on Raw. So you're going to have him get pinned again at SummerSlam. and then somehow he's supposed to look credible out of this. Like, I get that it's all about losing strongly or whatever, but how many of these things has he been through? And are we, I mean, I'm worried about you get to SummerSlam and then they have nothing for him. I'm really scared that this is just all them trying to take advantage of the fact that Cesaro's kind of hot right now. They'll use him for that pin, and then he'll just be doing kind of nothing. You know, I don't know. Unless it's all a ruse, and maybe they do 2-3 ways, and it's elimination for SummerSlam or something like that. I don't know, but just I don't like this idea necessarily.
I'm with you. I had the same fear, Sean, and that's part of the reason why I'm so nervous about this. I could feel much in the aspect of this is a waste of time because Cesaro looking good here. He's looked good in the past. We've seen him do some great things, and then next thing you know, he's back doing nothing. It's even worse now because his tag team partner is hurt. And what are they going to do? Throw another tag team partner with him, or are they just going to put him, basically an enhancement talent kind of situation? I don't know. I have a lot of fears because this guy is so talented. We know he's talented, and I hate to see good talent go to waste. And so we'll have to follow it. But I just have a lot of fear. It's difficult.
And the people that are saying, "Oh no, we should just let this be and not be criticizing this." WWE hasn't given us a reason to not be scared about this because every time we've seen this happen, not just with Cesaro but with others. Where you think, oh, this is their moment. With Ziggler, look what happened to him. With so many guys, we go, okay, here's their moment. They're finally going to get their chance. And then they just go back to doing nothing. And it's really aggravating and frustrating, and it really makes you sometimes want to go, why do I watch this crap? All the people that we're excited about wind up getting thrown to the wayside.
And look at this. It's kind of funny because I've seen some other things where it said that Vince is not thrilled with Ambrose or Rollins right now because he thinks they should be drawing more money. Where they've put him into place, how they booked him. He thinks they should be drawing more money.
How's Ambrose supposed to draw any money where he's doing absolutely nothing?
Amen.
On TV.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I
know. That's the thing.
This has to be Kevin Dunn just spewing crap. Like I just, is Vince this senile now? Like where he's just thinking someone's supposed to draw money when they're not put in a position to draw money? Like I get he was wrestling Rollins not too long ago, but you didn't book him the greatest during that either. You have completely diminished him. Completely diminished him. I don't know. Paul is a huge fan of the guy, and I'm sure he is so disappointed in the way Ambrose is booked.
It would have been a different thing if they had something waiting for him whenever he was done with that. They've had nothing for him since that ladder match. He's just sort of floundered into obscurity almost, which is depressing as all hell.
Yeah, and how many combinations of, oh, well, when Brock's not around, Rollins is wrestling Ambrose, or Rollins is wrestling Reigns, or Rollins is wrestling Ziggler. Like, how many of the same combinations can you have before it just gets to the point where it's like, okay, I've seen this, and I've seen this, and I've seen, oh, okay, I'm just going to turn this off now. Like, I mean, you have to think the casual fans at some point get to that point where they just go, how many times, I just... maybe it's only us hardcores to think about how many times these guys have wrestled each other, but I just, whatever.
I don't know. I mean, you could be right, but then again, I look at Raw sometimes and think, okay, if I didn't do this show and I didn't have any vested interest, how much would I really watch this? And honestly, I would probably be one of those people who maybe watched it every great now and again because there's nothing that draws you in. I would be a big fan of Ambrose. Oh, Brock. Yeah, Brock's amazing, but he's not there all the time. And a casual fan, if they don't pay attention when Brock's there, they may miss half the time that Brock's there, and then they're going to miss him for a lot longer because he doesn't stay on full time. That's a big problem, too. So I'm just saying, I look at it if I was a casual fan, which, hey, I've been a casual fan before. I actually took some time off from watching wrestling. And so I kind of know how that is. And so it's just, I don't see those big stars right now because they haven't given them the ability to be the biggest of stars. It's just the way it works. Now, it's someone that they are trying to make a big star right now, and it's very much on the basement floor of that happening. But they are trying to make someone a big superstar right now, and that's Eva Marie. Now, we've all talked about the fact that Brian Kendrick is working with her, trying to get her up to speed, trying to make her a valued diva. Of course, right now, she'll be involved in the NXT roster, trying to get better homercraft. But apparently, when Sean watches the Diva show, and Sean has kind of expounded to me that on the Diva show right now, that's a big deal because of the fact that she's kind of getting special treatment, one-on-one, training and getting specialized things, for her.
Basically, the whole first episode of Total Divas was Eva Marie getting a lot of flack from the other divas, along with the Bellas are still doing that storyline where they supposedly were thinking about not re-signing or whatever from the previous season, which was bogus, obviously. But you get to that at the end of the show where they decide to... But they make it about... Basically, Nikki decides to re-sign, and Brie kind of leaves it up in the air, even though we know it's not true either, because of the fact that she doesn't like... And all the other divas don't like the fact... And Alicia Fox really got heated about it, but it didn't. That seemed like really over the top and way over. But whatever. The thing is, I can see it a little bit. Like, she's getting to be in California at her house, okay, where all the other divas are away from where they live, having to go into, developmental, or they're on the road with the main roster. And she's getting special one-on-one treatment every day, gets to be at home with her husband, getting to train with Brian Kendrick. And I can understand why a Paige or somebody like that would be upset, because they had to change everything that they had in their entire life to go over there to developmental. And Paige went through the whole, all of her being in England and all that kind of stuff. So, and Mark Carano says it on the show that they're basically trying to make Eva Marie the next Trish, next Nikki Bella, the next face of the Divas division, pretty much. So, do we think that she has this potential? She can be the next face of the Divas division?
I need to see her work again, but she certainly has the look that WWE favors as far as divas go. She's very pretty. Whether the wrestling talent is there now, after her time with Brian Kendrick, remains to be seen. And I think that's what's going to sell the rest of us who are already soured on her because of how rushed she was towards the ring, and just see her as almost a waste of space. There are those people out there. So I want to wait and see. I'm willing to give her another shot, but she has the look. She does have that in her favor.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that part. And if WWE wants to make it happen, if Vince...
Do you guys think it's believable that the Divas would have been sort of upset about the fact that she's sort of getting special treatment like that? Or...
I don't see why not. I mean, you're on the road. If you're with the main roster, you're on the road over 300 days a year. And if she's at home chilling with her husband, then I'm sure there's some jealousy there because they would like to be doing the same thing. Or just being at home, maybe.
Yeah. What do you think, Gary?
Yeah, like I was saying, I think it's one of those things where Vince wants it to happen. It's going to happen no matter what. And there should be some animosity because, it's just like any other profession. If you're working and you're working hard and then you find out your coworker is getting a chance to stay home for more hours and all they have to do is log on a computer and do a few things while they're at home and they make the same or more money than you do, and get the same hours, but you're actually having to travel, you're having to do more things, of course you're going to have a little animosity because you're like, that's not... Why them? Well, I work just as hard or harder because I have to do more things. And I feel the same way. For them, I feel like, man, it's kind of unfair, but, this is not... this is life. It's not fair. So I think it's interesting, but it's probably going to work out because Vince wants it to work out. Probably a lot of other people in the WWE want it to work out. And hey, power to her. She does a great job. I think it's awesome.
To be fair, next week we're supposed to see her do some of her moves and whatever on the show.
Well, then we will have a better judgment then.
I think they showed her doing the sliced bread and stuff like that. So.
Okay. That's cool. So, of course, we'll follow this up once we get to see more information, actually see her in the ring and all that good stuff. Just a few other tidbits before we get on out, because we have kind of talked a lot about it, some big topics. I just want to mention real quick, if you guys are big OVW fans, guess what? Danny Davis sold the promotion, so he's no longer in charge. They'll have a new ownership. Also, if you're a big fan of Roderick Strong, and you're looking forward to the Vegas Wild Card show, he will not be in the main event. He has a UK appearance he's got to make, and ROH said, hey, you know what? It's fine. Go ahead. Go do that. So he won't be on that show. One thing I do want to mention before we move on any further in the show is GFW has named their show, which will be on Thursdays. It is going to be called Amped. Now, I don't know about you guys. I don't know if that just drives me crazy or makes me excited. But what are your thoughts about this name, Amped?
I mean, I've heard worse.
Yeah. I mean, it's like jacked. So
yeah. Or metal.
WWE made that a thing.
Metal? I mean, what the fuck was that?
Yeah. It's true. So.
I mean, I'm sure, when they come out with, Sunday Night Heat was kind of had a ring to it, but Velocity and, some of the other show names.
Shotgun Saturday Night. I mean, where does that name come from? It was a great show. I love Shotgun Saturday Night to the bone.
Yeah.
Jesus, that was... What kind of name?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, you're right. I think it's just kind of funny, but hey, more power to them. They're going to start doing their TV, and I think the 24th is when they're supposed to start that. And of course, they're going to do the whole thing, of course, with TNA, the Invasion. So I don't know. It's interesting.
Invasion.
Yeah, I know.
James Storm is back in the Impact Zone after being there for a week.
Yeah. He's jumped ship, but he's back. So I'm looking forward to actually seeing this, just because it's kind of, I'm sorry to say, it's kind of like a train wreck. You've got to see the damage. So I'm really interested. I don't know about you guys. I'm really excited about seeing the Invasion. I know a lot of people think it's stupid. It is what it is. Enjoy the ride. But I thought this week, we had some more information during TNA, and we'll talk about that during TNA. I won't give it away now. So there's a lot of stuff in this whole thing that I think we're going to get a chance to enjoy. And hey, this is going to be talked about and expounded more in this show. So stick around when we talk about TNA Impact, because we have a lot more information for you there. Of course, Jeff Jarrett does some more interviews on that show, so we'll get a chance to talk about that.
Jeff Jarrett also did an interview not on that show. He pretty much point blank said it's a talent trade, and there might be more to come. So,
Although TNA's getting a terrible end of this deal, if everything works out,
I just don't see who GFW is going to bring that TNA is really going to benefit from, having.
Yeah. Ooh, Matt Morgan.
I mean, not to mention that, now obviously, the Young Bucks and stuff like that are free, but some of your other guys are G1's going on during that time, so they're not going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be funny who exactly, if any, that's not TNA related is going to come in that thing.
Yeah. We'll have to see. Once again, there's lots of names that will be going over to GFW and going along with them, and I'm just really interested in seeing what this all, how it all shakes out in the end. I think that pretty much wraps up our big news topics. I do want to remind everybody, and I should have done this earlier in the show, but hey, if you did not get a chance to hear us, we did have a show on Sunday, and that was about Dominion. Man, I almost said it again. I know. Dominion, which was an awesome show. You don't want to miss us talking about that. If you have not seen Dominion, you need to go check it out. Find a way to watch it. Go get New Japan World.
Is going to be free in about 7 days. I think the free trial is going on right now.
Yeah.
No excuse. Go get that New Japan World. There's ways to find out how to order it, and you can easily go check out Dominion.
Yeah, it's a must. That show is wonderful. So go check us out. It is on demand. You can go find that show. We talked about that as well as we talked in depth about Beast in the East. That's why we're not talking about it today. We've already talked about it. So go check out that show to have all that information. Plus, we have a few other tidbits you're going to enjoy. So besides that, guys, well, we are going to move on in this show, and we're going to talk some Monday Night Raw. So get your seatbelts on, and we'll be right back with Raw.
Before we do, I'd like to remind you that we do have a Facebook group you can join, the Rest of the Max Facebook group, and you can follow us on Twitter at Wrestling2Max without the. And if you're listening the first time, thank you for listening. If you're listening through one of the websites, we are available on demand. So, you can check out iTunes and all the other places where there are podcasts. You can find us there. Just letting you know. And, of course, also the VOC Nation. Thank you for listening to us through there, even though they've had some troubles lately. But looks like things are getting back on track. But now, hopefully I can get this person on while we're listening to this little thing here. All right, here's Raw.
WWE Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, hopefully we have a special guest that's supposed to be joining us, which we've had him on the show before, Brandon. So hopefully he'll be on the line here. But Sean is going to run down Monday Night Raw with us. So,
all right, Brandon, you there?
Yep.
All right, Brandon Bisco Bing is back with us as we run down the Raw that was live from Chicago, Illinois. No CM Punk, just in case you're wondering.
Unfortunately.
Fortunately, because that show would have turned into some crazy. Go ahead, sorry.
Especially in Chicago, I wish they would still do what they did back when he first quit and continuously chant CM Punk the whole show.
I was fine with it during certain matches where they weren't happy. Doing it the whole show was really obnoxious.
Yeah.
Unnecessary. So
it was funny to hear, though.
Oh yeah, it was funny because for parts of it I agreed. So it's like CM Punk is a chant when we're bored. Chant CM Punk.
Yep, exactly.
So we started the show with a talking segment, but at least it was Paul Heyman coming out to shill Brock Lesnar and saying that he is a god, which people apparently got upset about. And then he said,
"Wait, what? How did people get upset with that?"
Apparently, if you mention anything about God and the commandments, you hit a chord.
Well, I mean, but okay, fine, but I mean, it was in Chicago, so obviously,
but, it doesn't. It's not about Chicago. It's just about on Twitter and whatnot. But it's
I know, but
I don't see how he's being sacrilegious to anything. He made an 11th commandment. I mean, he didn't break any of the other commandments. So
I'm surrounded by this. So with where I'm living right now, I'm surrounded by this, so I know exactly how it is. People take things way too seriously when it comes to religion, especially where I am right now. So, I mean, you can probably figure out where I'm living right now based on that, and you probably know the same. You
South Carolina.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
You probably know the exact same thing since you're in Texas.
Oh well, they are.
We are.
Yeah.
Oh right, you guys are. Never mind. But you guys probably know the exact. You probably know the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So pretty much, Heyman doing his thing where he props up Brock Lesnar,
which he needed to do since obviously this was the first time he was on since the beatdown that the Authority gave him.
All right. Okay, let me try to. Let me get through the part that I'm going to say, and then everybody can have their time to say what they're going to say. Because if you If you talk every time I say something, we're going to be here for an hour.
Right.
So hit it, Sean.
Okay. So, anyway, part of the main storyline, and I'm sorry, I don't take that the wrong way. I'm just trying to... so we can get through this in a much faster manner. Anyway, so we have the stuff with Heyman. We have also the stuff with ridiculous Photoshop stuff with Kane. At least they acknowledged that he was in Hawaii, so... or green screen Hawaii. And we got awesome stuff with the road trip of J&J going to Wrigley Field and other places, calling it a dump, and which it kind of is. But and then basically you get to the part that we all wanted, right? The part that we knew was going to come at some point. They waited till the third hour to do it. Except we had to see J&J and Rollins walking with axe handles. Because if I'm Brock Lesnar, I'm so worried about guys walking around with axe handles. Like, come on now, seriously. Like WWE, could you not come and think of anything more menacing than axe handles? Just ridiculous. Anyway, Brock Lesnar takes a freaking axe to the car, just obliterating the car, taking a car door and flinging it across the stage and hitting a fan, and then the fan proceeds to hold up the door like, hell yeah, I just got hit with the door by Brock Lesnar. Props to you, sir, because anybody else, they would have been trying to sue WWE at this point. So props to you. Let's go back old school where it's an actual big deal to have to be involved in the show. So what do you guys think of the main storyline that went through the show here, and how awesome was Brock Lesnar going all E-Honda on the car? What do you think about that?
I mean, yeah, the whole storyline was awesome. I completely agree with you. At first I thought it was either a baseball bat he brought out, or he was going old school Mick Foley and had a 2x4. But then it was he'd say it was an axe handle, and they could have done so much better. At the very least, continue the whole thing of Seth Rollins taking Triple H's persona and have him bring out a sledgehammer. At least do something that's a little bit more menacing than a handle of an axe handle that could easily be broken in half. Especially by someone like Brock Lesnar, and the whole destroying the car.
Didn't you guys think that it would have been more? Why not give Brock a sledgehammer? Why are we giving Brock something that makes it really hard to tear into something with? That axe just seemed really awkward to be using.
Yeah, my thing about the axe was, to me, that was a little dangerous, and not for anybody in the crowd. But did you see how much that bounced off that car? The axe was bouncing off at times. I was worried for Brock. I was thinking, my God, he could have had a baseball bat or something. He didn't need an axe. I don't know. I was kind of curious about that too, Sean.
I'm sure Brock Lesnar has swung his fair share of axes. I mean, this guy lives in the wilderness, for fuck's sake.
but wood doesn't bounce back an axe like that. As far as I know, I've always seen wood.
When you're digging into the metal part of the car, it looked awkward.
Well, it's also metal on metal too.
Just bash it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure he's strong enough. I get that. Yes, I understand that. But it just makes me nervous. Okay, that I just think about myself and put myself in that situation. I'm just watching the axe go back into my face.
Yeah. Did you guys think that the door was rigged?
Yes.
Or did he make it loose enough to where he threw it?
That's a tough one. I think that it was loosened a little bit, but I do think that Lesnar does have enough strength that he could rip a door off its handle.
This is a podcast who not even a week ago was hoping he would F5 the car. So I would assume he has enough strength to rip off a door.
True that.
Well, I was half expecting the car to be destroyed last week, but not by Brock. I was thinking it was going to get destroyed during that no DQ match at the end, that main event.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why didn't they have it elevated on something, or I don't know. I know they can't put it on the stage. I'm just trying to think why they couldn't have him push it off a stage or push it off of something.
Because that stage isn't as deep as it used to be.
Yeah.
It would be
Yeah,
like
the stage isn't elevated like it used to be.
Yeah, it would be like when you go off the curb.
Yeah, I know that, but I'm just saying I wish they would have had something they could have elevated it on, or I don't know. Just me personally, I wish they would have done that.
But see, that's the thing, though. It was already really dangerous when you throw the thing across the... Which I don't think that was planned. That just looked like Brock just said, let me just do this. And they were really lucky that a lot more pieces of that door didn't fly into the crowd because, you hit the wrong person, you've got a big-ass lawsuit coming.
Yeah.
I don't know that Brock's going to be involved with destroying any more cars on Raw anytime soon.
Is he going to be involved in handling Jamie Noble anymore? Because apparently now Jamie Noble had to get stitches because of Brock Lesnar throwing him on the
and he broke his arm, so at least he didn't have to get thrown onto the car like Joey Mercury. I wanted Joey Mercury to get F5'd on the car, but I guess that, couldn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
But, I just think if you had it elevated and you drop it, all the stuff that comes off the car could fly into the crowd and stuff. Yeah. That's really dangerous.
That's true.
Or he could have just F5'd the car.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's be honest.
Come on.
Let's be honest.
It's always funny seeing these, especially with something like this, it's a really nice car that obviously WWE, paid a ton of money to a car dealership for.
Which doesn't cost $55,000, by the way.
What?
But, yeah. It doesn't cost $55,000, but...
Yeah, but it still probably didn't cost them nothing, and they know they're going to have it completely destroyed and dismantled.
Yeah. It's like that Corvette that Vince bought that day so Austin could put cement in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When you have money like that to throw around, I guess.
Right.
But you could tell it was newly bought, though, because they never took the sticker off the side of it.
Yeah, I noticed that during their drive through Chicago. I was like, wow, did they really, not bother to take that off? It looked horrible.
Well, what's funny is it could really match Jamie Noble, the redneck thing. Oh, what? I forgot to take the sticker off the side. I'm sorry, honey.
Yeah, he forgot to take it off, yet he got a whole paint job and had redneck written on the top of the hood. Or not on the hood, on top of the windshield.
I love the racing stripes.
Yeah.
That was great.
And
maybe he just really likes new car stickers. I mean, we don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it doesn't do any good things for trying to see out of your blind spot over there on the right side, but...
The one thing I will have to say about this whole thing was they placed it in the right place because we got the main event, which we're not talking about that right now. But my point is, I think this whole destruction of the car was in the right place. At first, I was like, wow, this is like the end of Raw usually is. This is usually what we get to see Raw being capped off with. But we had more. So I thought it was in a good place.
I don't know. The way that they built the show... I don't think it was in a good place because you stacked the third hour and the rest of the show didn't feel important. And that
felt it felt weird because as Gary said, it felt like it was something that would normally be something. Oh, Brock is destroying the car as they go off air.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I get your point, Sean, but I mean, to me, I'm okay with it because they were replaying it, they were talking about it, and then the main event, what it was, I get it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was fine here too. The whole story throughout the evening with these with the main event was fine. It actually felt like there was some decent build here, and you get to keep pouring on the fact that Seth continually needs help and is just nowhere near prepared to face Brock Lesnar.
And they keep dropping that perhaps we are going to get the Triple H Seth Rollins thing at SummerSlam because Triple H keeps leading him astray.
Right.
So, I wonder when we're going to get the whole Seth snapping at him and be like, hey, you told me to do this, blah, blah, blah. or you're playing reverse psychology on me. I told you not to, Triple H told you not to do anything with him, and then you decided that it was better for you to do something instead.
Right.
Well, I mean, that was the whole thing. Like, Triple H basically set... It seemed like either A, he was basically leading him on to do what we talked about a couple of weeks ago, which was try to do a sneak attack on him. And Seth took it completely the wrong way and decided to call him out, and we got what we got. So, yeah, I think this is further leading us towards Seth, because I feel like it's going to be reverse of what we originally thought, which is Seth going against Triple H on his own. Now it's going to be like Triple H continuously trying to teach Seth how to do things correctly, and him misinterpreting it entirely, and then finally him snapping and like going against Triple H, or Triple H saying, enough is enough, I'm done with this.
Right. Well, getting through, well, since we're already talking about that third hour, I about died when we have this match with the Lucha Underground, or Lucha Dragons and the New Day, and Titus and Darren Young get on commentary, and Titus owns commentary. That was the best commentary of the entire show. I want more Titus on commentary. Can we have Titus on commentary for the whole 3 hours? Because that was awesome.
Damn.
The line that he gave JBL, where he's like, oh, at Florida you didn't get to learn how to count numbers. Oh, I have 2 degrees, JBL. What do you have? Like, bam. It's just nasty burn there. And then he goes and lists off everybody else freaking graduated from somewhere. Like, damn.
It's messed up. It's got to be awesome, though, to have a guy like, Titus be able to jump on commentary and be so smooth and just do such an awesome job. I think we see the future possibly there after he, hangs up the boots.
I think he misunderstood what JBL does, though. He was doing Michael Cole's job most of the time, but he's doing it better than Michael Cole, so that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was just a general rage at everybody. Like, just call the things that are happening in front of you. Just do that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not like the match was anything special he was watching, but still, he was calling it. That's all we want.
Yep.
It seems like all of the tag team guys can jump on commentary, like, because last week, or not last week, 2 weeks ago, we saw Jimmy Uso on there.
Yeah, on SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're all good. They're talkers. They know how to talk. Jimmy Uso, that's all he does in Total Divas is talk. Like, it's just they're good talkers. Just we knew Titus can do that. It's just funny hearing him in this setting where it seems like he's not being yelled at in an ear to say something. He's just coming right off the cuff and saying whatever, and Darren Young sitting there talking about whatever the hell he's wearing, and and JBL's like totally caught off guard. Like,
now
his line that he's like, "Oh, JBL, the first time you've ever been silent in forever." Just
Now, one thing I noticed about JBL in this episode, I don't know if it was just me, or does it seem like he's suddenly changed and he's starting to become more of a face commentator? Because he was praising Brock Lesnar, he was going against Seth Rollins, and I think there was someone else, that he praised that was a face that doesn't fit the MO of JBL.
I don't think JBL has a personal face heel tendency. I just think he cheers for whoever, because it never seems consistent. Sometimes
Go ahead. Back, when he first started, and like for the longest time, he's always been so pro authority.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I mean, he'll praise whoever he feels like praising, or he'll demote whoever he feels like demoting. It's almost random. And some weeks he's behind somebody, other weeks he's not.
Yeah, he really is Vince's voice on commentary. Mm-hmm. Just random. But yeah, I mean, I thought the match was good. I mean, you got to see Sin Cara just completely just miss the guy on the double suicide dive. That was hilarious. It just the guy moves and he just bump right on the floor. It's just, all right.
Well, you guys are gonna laugh at me for this, but now I know never to watch the replays on Hulu because I did that match was not on the episode at all on the abbreviated version.
It's okay. I mean, yeah, you did miss some of the stuff like that, but it wasn't a big deal, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it was something good to get the New Day a win that they needed to make them look strong for the pay-per-view. I mean, so and you know they had let Lucha Dragons have some play in there, so
right,
it's fine. It was one of the, aside from the main events, one of the better matches on the show, which isn't saying much, but you know. So before we get to the main event itself, which was pretty much, aside from Brock, the biggest point of the show, we have a bunch of mid-card filler stuff because, you know, this is exactly what, you know, they just love to do on this show. We did get a little bit of, seem like Big Show, I don't know what the hell Big Show is now. I guess he's just there because now he's sort of teamed up with Ryback. And why are we starting the first match of the night with Big Show twice? Like, do we not understand that people, you don't, who really goes on, I want to watch a Big Show match tonight. Like I'm going to go on the network, I want to watch Big Show on the network. Just 12 straight hours of Big Show. Like, just,
Well, that's why he's in the first match. I mean, it's, you know, he's a low-card, mid-card guy now. He's not really, you know, he's not a guy that's...
My point in this is that, okay, let's say you're just totally tuned out to the point that you know the first 15, 20 minutes of Raw is a talking segment. And so you tune in at 9:20 or 9:25 or 9:30. If you see Big Show as the first match or whatever, most chances are you're probably not sticking around. You know, I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, at least they, again, made this, to continue this feud. Miz came in again and caused another DQ because... I mean, does anybody else get the feeling of why are we even having matches between the three combatants in singles if all we're going to do is have DQs constantly?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same old trick. You can't keep doing it. Come on. I'm sorry. It's just, we always talk at nauseum. We're going to get a chance to, I can't wait. We get a chance to talk about it again. Sheamus and Orton. It's over and over and over and over again. And
not only
it's just,
Sheamus and Orton, Sheamus and Roman Reigns for like the 50th time.
Yes. And another feud we're going to talk about, Barrett and Truth. I mean, come on. This stuff is getting so old. It's just beat you to death. And yes, I agree. Why even have a match with these three? Let Show get out there and call Miz names. Go back and forth like that. I don't need to see a match.
Have a Miz TV segment. I don't know.
Yes, do something.
I don't know. I don't know if you guys play the WWE games, but it feels like that where they don't use anything.
So
they
you're
don't
saying it's
talking,
like playing the universe mode, and they have the thing just fills in the card for you?
Well, yeah, but like also all of the feuds that are put into it, the only way the feuds progress in the game is through the matches. Like, you don't have that, you don't have the vignettes, you don't have any talking points to enhance feuds. And that's exactly what Raw is basically becoming, where all you get are the matches and these, you know, these interferences in order to push feuds. But it gets boring after a while.
See, that's why Universe Mode sucked last year.
Well,
because they didn't have other ways for you to continue the feuds other than...
Well, they've never had that.
Yeah, they have. They've had, when they first introduced Rivalry Mode, they had it where you could do different little segments. You couldn't see them, but you could do it. You could do like an interview. You could do like where you run in and attack somebody. There's I forgot which game it was, but
that must have been back earlier on.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the modern universe mode that started in like 2013 or 2012.
No, yeah, you're right, but that's what I'm saying. They've had universe mode before. It's called many different things, but the point is that it's been more creative than it is right now. Same thing with WWE. It's been much more creative than it is right now.
Yeah.
What do you think, Paul?
There's nothing happening here. It's the same thing week in and week out with the same boring people that they never progress because they obviously either have no plans for them or they just don't care. And it's very sad because a lot of these people deserve much better than that.
Hey, at least Barrett and Truth are in a feud, so they're just having matches because they are, and I guess
because they're in a feud because.
Well, that's the thing. There is no such thing as a real feud within the mid card. It's just matches now.
Yeah, that's a column in itself.
Owens and Cena's technically in the mid card, but
and technically Wyatt and Reigns are doing stuff.
Yeah.
And can I get on my horse real quick? You mentioned those two. This is the first time people have probably heard me say this on this show, but I love Bray Wyatt, but this is the least interested I've been in Bray Wyatt. The least.
You didn't like the Sting throwback where they had a dummy Bray Wyatt there?
I'm sorry. It still doesn't do anything for me. No matter what it pays homage to. I don't know. They need to rework the whole Wyatt thing. They've totally put it in the ground.
Well, I think this is mostly just because of how creative is now, where they're so unoriginal that Bray Wyatt is a one-trick pony now because of how creative it is, where they just use the same story, the same concepts for all of his rivalries now. So, by this point, you know it already, so it's boring now.
Yeah. You're exactly right, Brandon. And the tricks, the dummy thing, and of course, the one he made Reigns go back to the room and he wasn't there anymore, things like that. I mean, it's all cute and all that, but it has not enough for me. I really want this to either get really dark and darker than it already kind of is, or make some other things happen, add people to the Wyatt family. You got to do something to change things up. It's just the same old hat.
Or if you are trying, obviously this whole concept was kind of destroyed by the fact that The Undertaker completely manhandled him at WrestleMania. But, if you are trying to make him an Undertaker-esque guy, coming out of the shadows and everything, have him do some Undertaker-type things. Have him, come out from under the ring, like have the lights go out and have him appear from behind or something like that. Have him interfere in matches directly where there is a direct physical fear of him coming out and attacking you, instead of just these very, blasé threats that he makes from behind a screen.
Mm-hmm. I don't understand.
Coming to us straight from Comic-Con, Mr. Chris Lemche.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good, man. How's Comic-Con?
Oh, it's amazing. This first day is just completely blowing my mind. I've seen a lot of stuff with the Conan today too. It was just a lot of fun. I was actually dressed up as Batman, and break up the wrestling is like a little kind of cute story here. So I was dressed as Batman, and this kid runs up to me and starts hugging my leg, and the mom kind of shows up. I'm so sorry. My kid's favorite superhero is Batman. He hasn't seen a Batman all day. I was like, aw. So I did some Batman poses with him too, and it just completely made a kid's day. So I was like, aw.
That is cool. That is great, man. I love those stories.
Yeah.
Oh man. So
I had fun in May. I was at XCon here in Myrtle Beach, and I went as a Jedi, and all the kids wanted to take a picture with me.
That's awesome.
See? That's why it's cool to cosplay.
Exactly.
Yeah. So one of these days I'll go as
So
Jack
did
Bauer.
you see any celebrities of note or anything?
No, at least not yet. I've always seen like Jennifer Lawrence around, which is kind of interesting and kind of cool because she kind of just came from a very cool person. So, but no, nothing like that. I couldn't get into the WWE panel, which is the one I kind of wanted to get into today. But,
Oh man,
Oh,
that's a shame.
you said you did see some Finn Balor cosplays though.
yes, I two-tweeted the Finn Balor cosplay, and we had like a 30-minute discussion about what they should do with Finn Balor when he gets to the main roster. It's pretty kind of it's weird. I was wearing a Balor shirt at first, so I was just walking around. I didn't think anybody. Because I don't know how much people watch NXT. You can't really know the numbers of NXT, how popular these characters are. Because, I know, like, Balor's popular like a lot of Smarks, but you don't know how regular viewers take to him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, when I saw the Finn Balor cosplay, I was like, that's awesome. And I went up and talked to him. And because we had this, like, talk where I pitched him this idea of having Balor versus Taker at Mania 32, which is what I think they absolutely should do. Don't do Sting and Taker, do Balor and Taker, because one, Taker is a younger guy, and no matter if Balor loses, you can at least make Balor look strong by having Taker come out first. He does his little like supernatural entrance, and then when Balor comes out as a demon, Taker sells that entrance, and then he's made because he's the only guy Taker would sell for being scared of.
Interesting.
That is. Wow. Go ahead, Brandon.
Back at XCon, just real quick, I did meet Flair. Flair was there, so that was cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is pretty awesome. So, yeah, I think the idea, though, of just imagining an entrance for Finn Balor at WrestleMania, that just excites me off the bat.
Yeah.
that would
be there to see it.
Cool to see.
I know.
And seeing Undertaker actually have a scared reaction, that would be a sight to behold. That's for sure.
Yeah. He starts screaming, "Kane, help!"
Oh, yeah, and then proceed to have Kane come out and be like, "You want to act like a demon? Fine, here's the demon."
Yeah. You gotta love it. So, I do have to ask Chris.
Or have a Finn Balor versus Kane match. Have Kane go back to his demon form and have demon against demon.
There you go.
That could be a way to push Balor up onto the main roster, is have him be the new Devil's favorite demon.
Yeah. There you go. Not a bad idea.
I don't know that he's going to be a heel, though, when he comes up, though.
Yeah,
that doesn't work for faces. I don't know too many kids to be like, "Oh yeah, I want to be the fan of the Devil's favorite demon."
Well, back in the Attitude Era it would have worked, but nowadays, no.
But kids weren't really watching in the Attitude Era, so...
Yeah, it's one of those things. Any Walking Dead stuff at Comic-Con right now for you?
I know, we get the Walking Dead panel tomorrow, so I'm definitely checking that out.
Yes, that's awesome. You all definitely let me know how that works out. I love The Walking Dead, so...
I'm sure you're dying for that Fear of the Walking Dead, Gary.
Oh, I can't wait. Can't wait. So lots of cool stuff going on over there. Well, Chris, man, we're talking right now about really... We've talked about a lot of Raw. We haven't got through everything yet. But right now we're kind of talking about the boring part, which is all the mid-card. Everything but the two matches, which we already talked about. Brock Lesnar destroying the car, and, of course, all the other stuff. So I was just kind of curious, what you had to bring to this discussion.
The only thing I'm going to say is, first of all, I did call him just to say happy birthday, Gary. I hope you had a really good one.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that, man.
No problem. The only thing I have to say about Raw, it has to do with the Roman Reigns Bray Wyatt feud. Now, when you get attacked like Reigns did at the end of the show last week, shouldn't Reigns have cut a passionate promo saying how at Battleground I'm going to kick his ass and I'm going to do things to make Bray Wyatt fear me? But there's nothing from this. Like, it kind of shows to me they don't have faith in Roman to address what Bray did to him at all.
Well,
I
the
think
way
it's just bad
Reigns
writing.
is going to address things is by kicking his ass. He doesn't have to talk, I guess.
I guess, but there should have been. I don't know. Back in the day, the babyface would have had some kind of response to what Wyatt said or what Wyatt did.
I mean, and Roman Reigns has certainly done promos where he's done that sort of thing, like when he was going up against Lesnar and whatnot. So, I mean, he's certainly capable of doing it. I agree with you that he should have said something, but I mean, I think I just put that on poor writing and poor foresight.
Yeah. I just think, like I was telling them, Chris, I am just totally out right now. I love Bray Wyatt. I'm always going to be a Bray Wyatt fan, even if they released him or something, sadly. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but my point being is I'm just not into this right now. It's almost like I can take a vacation from this portion of Bray Wyatt's career because it's not helping me at all. It's kind of boring me at times.
No, I agree with that, Gary, too. Like, this Bray Wyatt-Roman feud does nothing for me. It's just one of those things, like, the Bray Wyatt character, I just can't get behind with his feuds. Because, okay, he goes from Taker to randomly feeding with Ryback, and then once that ends, now he's feeding with Reigns. Like, what's the direction of this character? Like, they have to figure that out first before we can really help Wyatt.
The other thing I feel with Wyatt is, I mean, he hasn't won a feud yet. He's supposed to be this really scary,
he won Ryback,
leader.
but what kind of feud was that?
Yeah, he won Ambrose.
Yeah, he pretty much beat Ambrose every single time.
But I mean, he's supposed to be this, demonic cult leader. Yet he doesn't. The fear factor is gone.
Yeah, but Paul, what is this feud doing for you?
It's another one of those ones that blends in with everything. It doesn't stick out. There's nothing that really makes you take hold. Recently, I should say, because they've had a few cool angles with these two, but there's nothing that really makes you jump out and want to latch on to this in any fashion. Part of it is because Roman Reigns hasn't really done a lot since Mania, but then again, neither does Bray. None of them have really done anything to stick out in your mind since those, and they were two of the hotter people going into Mania, and that's all sort of died. So
I like you know what, for the fact that this is PG WWE and they're not going to get really dark, we just know they're not. Okay, the fact that they had the whole writing on the wall and the stuff with their sort of kind of telling you maybe he might have kidnapped the daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And the stuff with the dummy Bray Wyatt, I mean, that's probably as close as we're going to get. So I appreciate that we're doing it.
See, I like that, but I wish they should have Roman respond to that, because I feel that would help Roman out long term, because we can start connecting with Roman. Like, all right, he's a man threatening his daughter, and he's pissed along belief, and as men, we would protect our daughters to no matter the end. So we would feel the empathy with Roman. They're just missing that.
Okay, Chris, you are in the acting world. You are an actor. You know what it takes to do these things. I look at this, and they are casting Roman Reigns as Clint Eastwood when he should totally be someone other than Clint Eastwood. I don't know. What's his name from Taken? Him. Like, have him upset that his daughter's gone. Liam Neeson,
exactly, yeah.
That's not good. And start shooting. No, he needs to have an actual bigger dialogue. So, I don't know. That's my personal opinion.
No, I definitely agree with you on that, because that's what's going to make people like him. I feel that is. You make him more human, make him more relatable. You start to rehab his character with that.
Especially with how they started, they were doing that a little bit with him against Lesnar. He was talking about his personal life and whatnot leading up to the match against Lesnar at WrestleMania. So you were getting some of that before, and he was doing really good on the mic. So he certainly has the ability to do something like that, and certainly has the ability to, turn the tables on Wyatt and start, trying to instill a little bit of fear into Wyatt instead of just going in guns blazing, as you said, Gary.
Mm-hmm. So, well, Sean, I apologize. I got this rant going. If you need to talk,
that's fine. I mean, I'm glad that we had a rant going on something. I mean, that's totally. I like that we had a conversation about it instead of just kind of blazing through everything. Roman Reigns also faced Big Show for the millionth time on SmackDown. So
good.
I didn't even watch
God.
that. And then Wyatt hit Sister Abigail on Reigns. Apparently attend the segment. Looks like. I don't know. I think at some point this is not helping Reigns from a strength perspective. We're not making Roman look strong here at all. We kind of need to get back to that. But maybe this is WWE's booking. We're gonna have the face look terrible until the pay-per-view where he wins, and that's gonna solve everything. And that doesn't work. How many times have we been through this? It doesn't work. They need to stop.
It's gonna magically erase everything that happened over the past couple of weeks. Yeah, that never works.
Right.
Because we're all stupid and we forget things.
Yeah.
Well, and just one last thing on Wyatt, like we've been talking about. I hate to say it, and this will kind of downgrade Wyatt a little bit, but I feel like they need to re-examine his character, and like I was talking about, start bringing in that fear factor of, like, he needs to start, like, even if you have to start him down at the bottom again, have him come out and, during a match, start, come out of nowhere, come out of the shadows, and beat a jobber's ass, start doing things to start building that fear of him again, because right now, no one really cares about him, especially with the feuds that he's been in lately.
Actually, you know what I would have done? I would have switched up the Wyatt Reigns feud with the Sheamus Orton. Just switch opponents. That's who Wyatt should be feuding for Orton right now, and then Sheamus and Reigns could be going at it. That's what should have happened.
Please don't give me Sheamus and Reigns 50 times then at the pay-per-view again, because my God.
Well, I mean, had that not happened, we wouldn't have seen these massive Raw matches they keep busting out. But yeah, with Wyatt and Orton, at least Wyatt could get a believable win over Orton and just feud with him to build him back up. I'm assuming Wyatt is being fed to Reigns in the long run, so it's kind of one of those things. Oh, you're just sacrificing Bray Wyatt again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, as I said, like the fact that Wyatt, other than with Ambrose, which I think that was ridiculous that they completely buried Ambrose, but I mean that's just me. Other than Ambrose, he hasn't really won any of the feuds that he's been in, so that fear factor of him is completely gone because he hasn't done anything.
Well,
and so it completely destroys his character.
Even if the Ambrose feud, I mean, to be fair, Ambrose didn't lose to Wyatt at TLC. He lost to malfunctioning TV screen. So.
Good point. Good point.
Oh, I forgot about that. Okay, so now that we've really talked about that, I think what's left, we've kind of talked about everything in the mid-card. The Divas, I guess, because we haven't gotten to that yet. We once again have Paige lose because too much interference. Brie wins. They play up the fact that, again, Paige needs someone. We have heard now that it is pretty much not confirmed, but unofficially confirmed that we will get Sasha and Charlotte. Charlotte was backstage. She was due to come out, but they held her off. They also held off Stardust because they don't want him to be a face. I'm sorry, I don't care if he comes out 5 months from now, he's still going to be a face. So, you can wait however long you want to. Dusty Rhodes still passed away, and they're still going to care for him. So, Vince, get your head out of your ass and just let the guy freaking wrestle. Who cares? Just whatever. I'm just so tired of that. Like, well, we don't want to be a face. Who cares? Let it be organic. You don't know what you're going to get with that. Like, why does he have to be this structured thing? Like, ugh.
Well, that's the thing.
Why does he need Stardust? Just have him be. It doesn't matter if he's. Just have him be Cody Rhodes. The Stardust character. You weren't doing anything.
Didn't Chavo drop Kerwin White when Eddie died?
Yes. Yeah.
So why is Cody different? Like, they can make a deal out of that.
Goldust Dustin isn't doing anything right now, is
he?
He's injured.
Well, he's hurt, but
yeah, exactly. So you don't have there's no reason to have him as Stardust right now.
Yeah, I mean, if they were gonna, if there was a report that said they're gonna wait for Goldust to come back to bring them both back at the same time or whatever, then okay, I'm cool with that. But that's not what it seemed like. It just seemed like, oh, Stardust is back. Oh crap, he's gonna get cheered. We can't have him come out now.
Yeah. Well, and that's the problem with WWE nowadays is that they're trying to micromanage everything. They're trying to micromanage the crowd reactions way too much. Whereas, the biggest example of this, look at Stone Cold. He was originally supposed to be a heel, and, crowds loved him, and they were like, okay, he's a face now. We have to run with it, basically.
Yes, how do you guys feel about knowing that we're going to get Charlotte and Sasha, not just one? And apparently Bayley would have been the one to come up with Charlotte if she didn't have a broken hand. What do you think, Chris?
I want to say this, and I got to get going, but I would have preferred it with Bayley because Sasha coming up as a part of the team wouldn't really feel right. And the sooner they come up, the better. Like, when I watch these Diva matches on TV, I just keep thinking to myself, you have Charlotte, you have Becky Lynch, you have Sasha. Bring them up and let's end this Bella stuff. Like, I don't hate the Bella twins as much as everybody else does, but I had this scary thought that I had the other day. Paige and Nikki Bella have been feuding since January. It's been almost 6 months of this, or over 6 months. And they're going to SummerSlam again with another tag where it's Paige, because just like WrestleMania, Paige and a partner versus the Bella twins. How is it any different than what we saw 3 months ago?
It's not.
Yep.
Yeah,
what do you think, Phil?
It might be if I had any hope that they're going to book these divas differently when they come up from NXT, but they're either going to be treated as an afterthought or they're not going to matter after 3 months.
Or Nikki Bella is going to beat them, and then they'll just go back to the back of the line like Naomi did. So
that's already.
They have to want to make change because it's not going to happen organically unless they start treating them like they matter.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? Mm-hmm. I think that if they were going to bring up, these two, I think they should have went ahead and brought up Bayley if she was healthy. I think Sasha even deserves to be in that picture, even if Bayley was healthy. They've got to get some numbers games in here because, like you said, if Nikki just starts beating them down one by one, then come on, at least give a number of them, not just two.
I would hope that if they bring these girls up, that Nikki and Brie will become... I know it won't happen, but for every true wrestling fan out there, I know they would hope that Nikki and Brie would go into basically the mid-card of the Divas division. I know it won't happen, but, but ever since AJ retired, all we've had has been the Bellas and Paige, and it's been a joke. And it probably will still continue to be a joke, even if they bring up new people, just because, for whatever reason, the WWE, like the front office, and I don't know if it's creative too, I would hope not, but the front office has a love affair with the Bellas for no reason whatsoever, and they don't deserve to be in the ring.
Not for no reason. Come on now. They do a lot of PR for them. It's also who they're with, but they do a lot for the company. Let's not play around here. Yeah. And they actually have tried to wrestle. Let's not diminish.
Keyword there.
I won't diminish their talent. Oh,
no, I'm talking about Brandon, who's saying that they shouldn't have a fascination with them for no reason. They've put in their effort. They have a fascination for them because their brand sells, and all that stuff. They're the face of Total Divas, and as much as the ratings are kind of going up and down, the show's still around, largely because of them. So, You know,
That's right.
The best scenario for like the Sasha Charlotte debut, because for some godforsaken reason, we're getting Nikki and Paige for the third time on pay-per-view at Battleground. The best scenario would be Charlotte and Sasha debut, interrupt that match, and beating the hell out of both of them, and the crowd will cheer because they know that we're tired of this.
Well, they have to. You can't debut them and have them get beat up. You know, they have to get debut and beat up the.
They'd beat both Paige and Nikki Bella. Just beat them up both. Just say, we know you guys don't want to see this match anymore. We're finally here.
Yeah. I mean, but that's the thing. Like, you know, you could be the Rising, but actually have a point for the Divas or whatever. And go on a crusade that way, and it'd be like, I mean, you don't have to say that you're making an NXT versus WWE or whatever, but you can. There's a way where you can make it feel like there's two separate sides here, and that's what they've been trying to do. They even said that Naomi and Tamina are neutral, who Brie and Alicia Fox beat in 3 minutes again on SmackDown, by the way. So
who again? They wrestled as baby faces against them for some godforsaken.
Well, but did you hear Paige get booed every time she did something? Like, they were booing her. There's a big contingent of fans that don't want to boo the Bellas.
Why?
Because of what they see on Total Divas and who they're with, and
see, this is
Nikki
why
Bella being with John Cena makes a big difference to that crowd. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, and Daniel Bryan.
Do what? And Daniel Bryan, yes. Well, but Daniel Bryan's not on TV every week, so, you know. But still.
But unlike Daniel Bryan, where, you know, he made his relationship with Brie well known, if you don't watch Total Divas, you don't know about the Cena and Nikki thing.
Oh, but they show it on TV. It's not like they don't ever show you clips of that.
Yeah, it's not a secret.
Yeah.
Well.
You know, I had the theory about Brie Bella that you guys will love. Okay. I'm convinced Brie Bella is a succubus who has cursed Daniel Bryan. Because look what happened the day after they got married. All this bad stuff started happening to Bryan.
That's actually a very good point. You have a point there, good sir.
That's terrible.
Man, yeah. No, I never thought of
it. It's totally like out of the realm of possibility. But it's just...
I thought you guys were gonna kick. I mean, I'm gonna end on this. Nikki is good. She's improved. I don't hate Brie and Nikki at all. I get they've earned their spot. I hate to say it, but it's true. Like Sean said, they've done all the PR work. They do a lot of PR than more people realize.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. They just have to start making these matches matter. Like we can only see Nikki and Paige go at it so many times, or Nikki and Brie Bella, and now Paige and Alicia Fox. Well,
they complain and then nobody cares.
Well, I mean, that's the problem with Raw in general.
No, but the point is that they're stepping up and standing up for themselves, and Vince says whatever. Dunn says whatever. So they can try to make these mean as much as they want, but if the people above them do not give a total shit, then what are they supposed to do? That's the problem.
Which is the problem, because Vince used to be the type that if you went to him with an idea, he said, okay, let's do it.
Well, it's not that. It just depends on what the idea is and if he thinks it makes money.
But he was a lot more open to ideas. You know.
Well, have you heard the Vince story about how Gail Kim got hired?
Oh my God!
Oh Lord, I totally skipped that on
purpose
because it was.
Yeah, that's how Vince feels about women. There you go.
Yeah, and I'll go back to that real quick, Chris. We were talking about this earlier about Vince micromanagement. I think that has a big deal on this because he does not realize what the real world is at times. I think he really is in his own world. He doesn't realize that, hey, there are men out there who are attracted to Asian ladies. He has no idea that existed. And that it's a shock because, everybody's interested in every other people. I mean, come on, really?
It's not just that. Gail Kim is an awesome talent, wrestling-wise. It's like, I mean,
well, but that's the problem with the Divas division now, is that it's all about looks and that instead of the actual wrestling. I mean, that's why Karma was, just suddenly disappeared.
Well,
Let's
Karma,
not
she
kid
kind of
ourselves.
said
It's
her own grade
always
there.
been about looks.
yeah,
It's
remember
always
the
been
Attitude
about-
Era? There was hardly any wrestling for the women. It was all Sable showing boobs and everybody.
But you
everything
still
else.
had Mickey James, you still had China, you still had
That was a different era, but yeah.
you still had females that could wrestle and actually did.
You happen to have pretty-looking girls who knew how to wrestle well. That's
Yeah, but
got lucky almost.
It was all bra and panties matches and all that kind of stuff. It was never about really showcasing their talent. Let's be honest, until we got to today where wrestling is now appreciated by the casual audience, that's when we started seeing that the women can be, and it wasn't until NXT that in WWE land, you can appreciate women's wrestling the same way you can appreciate men's wrestling. Which before Chris leaves, we got to have him talk about that awesome freaking match. Now, I've rewatched it and I was upset at first. I thought it got into that they did too many moves thing, but after rewatching it a second time, I thought it was great. 30 minutes of John Cena, and seriously, John Cena, maybe John Cena should be awarded like Indie Wrestler of the Year because he's wrestling in that style and doing it well with everybody. What do you think, Chris?
Oh, no, Cena this year has just been on fire. Like, he's my early candidate for Superstar of the Year with just wrestling ability, and it's proving what I've known for a long time. Cena's an excellent mid-carder. So. But no, yeah, the match was great. It was fantastic. 30 minutes of them. Cena making Cesaro look good, like he belonged to Cena, Cena making him belong to Cena was just amazing. And I really wish, I wasn't just cynical, but I hope to God they follow up with this on Cesaro. This would be the time to now start using this momentum and pushing him in a prominent role in the company with this.
Yeah. But I mean that's the question, the big question that we have with both Cesaro and with Kevin Owens is that Cena is doing a good job, giving them a push, but is it going to continue, or will they suddenly fall because Cena will win? I mean, the one thing I didn't like about this match was, Cena looked like Super Cena at the end, still. So
that's what he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, Super Cena in what way? I'm curious about that.
I forget the match exactly. I forget how it ended, but I know that something happened that pretty much any other wrestler it would have had them lose.
Well, he kicked out of the neutralizer right there at the end before he got him up there for the Super AA or whatever. I mean, he kicked out of a lot of stuff that Cesaro would have done, Not that anybody would have stayed down, but after he magically got that neutralizer, it was like, wow, they've really... but that's the thing. They did so much in that first match, they had to go... It's like Owens and Cena. They did so much in that first match, they had to go the extra mile in the second match to make you believe that, it was going to be a real thing again. But, we already talked about the...
You know what it was? After Cena went through that whole match, and, any wrestler, if you're thinking about it on a level of physicality and everything, any wrestler would be exhausted after that match. And after getting hit with the neutralizer and everything, he still gets up almost right away when Kevin Owens comes in to attack him and AA's. Like, Kevin Owens should have had the advantage there and been able to pop up powerbomb him onto the mat.
That's a fair point. I mean, I get what you're talking
It's a fair point, but he got to pop powerbomb him in the week before.
Yeah.
True, but still, like, that just... completely give Cena this, oh, no matter what you do to him, he will still get up and AA someone when they're attacking him. Even especially
that's John Cena. That's what he's done forever. I mean, are we expecting WWE to all of a sudden have some consistency with John Cena? I mean, it's what they've always done with John Cena.
Yeah, but to be fair, you think about it. I mean, he's laid down for those pop-up power bombs like 2 weeks in a row, and then he gets this. So he's got to get his sometime.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, I just feel like if you were gonna have that happen, at least have him, have a little bit of trouble, and not have it come so easy where because it actually looked like he was a little fatigued after that match because of how long it was. But then, as soon as Kevin Owens comes into the ring, oh, I'm fully ready. I'm gonna pick you up and AA you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
What do you think about the match and all that, Paul?
Certainly one of the best matches Cena's had all year, and that is certainly saying something with his body of work so far. Great. I mean, since he's won the U.S. title, he's had pretty much an amazing match, or a good to amazing match on Raw for the past couple of months.
Which is saying something.
He's had plenty of good matches before. It's just never this many in so short a time.
Well, yeah. I'm not even so much saying that. I'm saying, we've been talking this whole show about how Raw has been so dull lately. And with matches being so, we've seen the same matches over and over again, and yet Cena has been able, with this open U.S. challenge, to make it interesting to an extent. I mean, obviously, he's going to win every match because you're anticipating the big match at the pay-per-view. But, it's, he's made good matches out of all of them, despite...
That's what was great about the Cesaro match, because both times... There were times where I was like, "Oh, holy crap! They could change the title here." Like I bought some of the false finishes because they really let them go.
Yeah.
For that long. Chris, before you how do you feel about that supposed triple threat being added to Battleground? Do you like it or you don't like it?
Oh, I don't like it because that means they didn't have a plan to how they were going to finish Cena and Owens before the Cesaro thing. It shows just a lack of I don't like that they didn't have. I don't like that he'll be there just to take the pin. That's just unfair to. It's unfair to the feud. It's because Owens has to beat Cena. I want Owens to beat Cena to end it. That's how it should end. I don't want Owens to pin Cesaro because we got to protect John Cena because he's the Superman. So Owens has to beat him. Adding Cesaro, that's fine for a Raw match or something. But I'd rather
because Cena will get his rematch. And they can still do that at SummerSlam,
Yeah, but I want him to actually beat Cena for the belt, not Cesaro. Cesaro's there just to take the pin. Cena gets the rematch because he never lost the belt, he never got pinned, and then they have this kind of shady finish to protect Cena even more with that rematch. Yeah. Owens should beat John Cena, for that belt. No one else. That's it.
Right. Yeah, because if you had him beat him in a singles match that sort of didn't mean anything other than the fact that he just beat him, why not be able to beat him for the title instead of you? I just think that Vince is so scared that if John Cena takes more than one pin in a certain period of time, it's going to kill him or something. I don't understand how Vince doesn't see that John Cena is bulletproof at this point. He could lose both at Battleground and SummerSlam and he would be just fine.
I mean,
I get the idea. I mean, the idea of, having the triple threat because then it saves the actual blow off for SummerSlam because that's where they honestly should blow off the feud because, again, if they ended at Battleground, it's SummerSlam's a big pay-per-view. What is Cena going to do there, So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair enough.
It's just I just don't like. Let's just throw Cesaro in there because we can't think of a finish. So let's just have him pick the pin, easy way out, sort of thing. No, you made a a big decision, in which I agree with wholeheartedly, that to have Owens beat Cena clean, so just keep going with this. Beat him clean, have him beat him clean again. It's not going to hurt Cena in the long run at all. The first loss didn't. Another loss wouldn't either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but that's the problem, is that they're so afraid of, they have to keep this Super Cena persona on him that they don't want to have him lose the... I mean, obviously, you're going to have the U.S. title switch hands at some point,
I'd say if they're so afraid of him losing the U.S. title, then what's the point of him having the U.S. title if it wasn't to elevate somebody?
Yeah, exactly. That has to be the point.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, the other thing that I don't like about the triple threat, if what we're expecting does happen, is you're destroying all of this momentum for Cesaro that you've been building up over these past couple of weeks with him coming close to being Cena, while not really... You're kind of also not really fully destroying. You're giving Owens the title, yes, but you're taking away that added bonus of him beating Cena to give him an even bigger push. So you're destroying two big pushes that you've been giving two of your up and coming guys, for the past two months, and you're gonna undermine that by doing this, and these two guys aren't gonna have the same sort of boost that they would have had otherwise.
Yeah, for sure. I understand. Well, I know Chris has got to go, and I hate to keep him. We kept him way over what we expected to keep him. So, Chris, man, we really appreciate you calling, buddy, and it's good to hear from you again. Do you have any final comments? Anything else?
No, pretty much said everything, and just stay on the show. That's pretty much it. Yeah. I'm glad you had a good birthday, Gary.
Yeah, I really did. And I'll even have a better birthday. You give me Norman Reedus' autograph. So.
I'll find a way to get Norman Reedus to be on the show. That's all.
If you do that, Chris, we will have a really close friendship. All right, we love you, buddy, and we are excited to talk to you. Hopefully next week, man.
Yeah. You guys have a good one.
You too, buddy.
Take it easy, buddy.
All right.
Before we review this show, I just wanted to bring up something that I found. I want to see what you guys think about it, because I saw it as the crowd kind of just... They were playing around and kind of doing it for fun. Not necessarily that they wanted to see something done with this person, but is there anything to make of the fact that you had dual chants for Ambrose and Bo Dallas during their little 3-minute match or whatever? Does it mean anything that the crowd cares about Bo Dallas, or was it just, we're in a smarky town, they wanted to be funny and nothing more?
I don't know if it's funny, but I'm sure they'll discount it as being a smarky town. I mean, Bo Dallas has the gimmick. I don't know if he has the rest of the pieces to put together anything more than a fun mid-card act, Which is fine, but with the way WWE books a mid-card, that's not going to do anybody any good.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think... I agree with Paul. I don't think it'll really do much, especially with the fact that, I mean, let's face it, does the WWE ever really listen to the fans anyway?
Yeah, Ambrose does beat Bo Dallas again on SmackDown anyway, but...
Yeah.
I just thought it was, Harry made it seem like a big deal, and I was like, I see it as just, they kind of did it just they kind of like Bo Dallas in that way because he's from NXT or whatever, and maybe they kind of wanted to give him some pub, but it's not really supposed to mean anything. And,
I mean, this is Chicago where, WWE, they're used to having the fans kind of... It's basically the new Montreal where, Chicago is a very unique town for WWE, and the fans will do what they want.
Right. All right, so let's put a rating on this bad boy here. What do you think about Raw, Paul?
That last hour was really good. There's some okay bits and pieces scattered throughout the rest. I'm thinking round about a 6.
All right, Brandon. What do you think?
I'll give it a 7 just because of the whole Lesnar and Rollins thing, and the main event match was good. So, but especially because of Lesnar completely destroying the car and giving us some good moments there. I'll give it a 7.
Yeah. Looking at this Raw, I think for the most part, I was willing at first to give it a 5 or 4. Then we got those big matches at the end. I think let's add in the fact that I did not hate the Dolph Ziggler and Rusev situation. I thought it was.
We didn't talk about that. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah. So, what did you guys think of this? I thought it was way better than last week, at least.
Yes.
I mean, I like it, but it's another one of those. Where is this going? I mean, if you think about it, the common thought is probably it's more than likely going to go into a mixed tag team match, but it just feels so artificial. It feels so forced, and I mean, I don't know. Maybe I just don't. Other than Dolph Ziggler, I don't really like any of the people involved. But so maybe that's just me. But it just feels like it's another one of those things where it's just putting something in there for filler, and it's going to be the same thing over and over again until we finally get a mixed tag team match.
This is the first segment in this feud that I felt like actually had some heat to it. I really enjoyed it, actually. I felt like everybody was on their game for the most part. Both Rusev and Ziggler were on it for the mic delivery. And even both the girls were in on it, too. So it was a fun little segment in a feud that hopefully now has a little bit of heat to it to make you interested to see what happens next week. Because it certainly did that for me.
Yeah, for me too, and that's the big reason why it helped me kind of pop my rating up to maybe a 6, because earlier I was not thinking so. Even with a great finale, a great match at the end, and a great car destruction, the rest of Raw was not on par for me. What I really wanted to see, but that made it go up to 6 for me. That especially since Rusev was so violent, it helped. It was neat. It was a nice swerve. We still thought he was injured, then he comes back. I loved it.
Yeah. I'm going to say a 6.5 for me. The Brock destroying the car was a highlight. Also, the match at the end was a fantastic highlight. I loved Titus on commentary. I would love to see more Titus on commentary. Or at least more superstars getting to do stuff like that, because it was such a breath of fresh air, really. It was just nice to see.
I think with how well that and the Uso and Jimmy Uso working, I think we will see more.
Jimmy Uso was doing commentary on SmackDown again, by the way.
Yeah. It'll be a regular thing probably. So, well, man, we are done with Raw, so we appreciate you sticking around, and we definitely want to thank Brandon Biscobing for joining us once again for Monday Night Raw. Man, we really appreciate you calling in, buddy.
Yep. And I'll talk to you guys next week. Hopefully we'll have a better Raw next week. Probably not, but we'll see.
All right, man. Well, good having you on the show again. We'll talk to you soon.
Yep, see ya.
All right, everybody. Well, if you want to be like Brandon and you want to call in, don't forget, you still have that opportunity, because we're talking to NXT next, and of course we'll be jumping into some other promotions like Lucha Underground or ROH and TNA. That number again is 972-591-8620. So, there you go, guys. Well, we'll be right back with some NXT.
WWE Developmental NXT.
Alright, NXT. Well, at least it'll be a part of NXT we don't have to talk about, because we already talked about it. So
yeah,
that's always nice. I feel like we'll talk about that in a second. But okay, so we show stuff from Brock Lesnar, which makes no sense because he has nothing to do with NXT. But they do tell us that we're going to see the Finn Balor and Kevin Owens match from Beast in the East. Okay, I get why they do it, because not everybody that gets to watch NXT on television has the network. I'm kind of okay with that. But I feel like you need to tell people you can watch, this is only part of the match, you can watch the whole match and everything on the network if you want to. And just, I don't know. I just feel like there was a little bit of misjustice done there. But I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
I
whole showing the match and everything.
I didn't have a problem with it. Maybe not everybody's going to wake up to watch it live. Maybe not everybody's going to watch it on demand. But you do have people who probably tune into NXT every week on the network, on Hulu, however else you're watching this. And it's a fun, especially with a title change. I really felt like it was a smart move. Maybe you're taking away a reason to go watch that, but you're still getting people on the network watching this. So I think it was still fine.
Thank you for saying that, Paul, because really, I haven't put much thought into this. I really have not. It has not been something that kind of was a big deal to me, because I have the network, but I did not put in perspective the people that don't. And the people that don't, maybe they do have Hulu, and that's how they're getting their NXT fix. And if that's the case, they have every right to watch the NXT Championship change hands. So that's what makes it okay for me. It makes a lot more sense to me now. I'm okay with it. Beforehand, I was kind of on the fence, like, why rehash when you could just have new matches on the show? So complete sense. Thank you for explaining that, because I agree.
Yeah, I'm fine with it for the ones that don't get to see. I just think that they could have done saying something about you can watch the entire match on the network or something. Just letting people know that there was a lot to this that they're not seeing, and you know.
Yeah. I think it goes a long way for the people that are paying for Hulu, who want more than just WB, but WB is a big reason they do it. It kind of gives them some, I don't know, something for their buck.
Right. So anyway, let's get to what was actually on the show that pertains to this episode. So we have, basically we start with the women's match, where Dana Brooke and Emma come out and they kind of make fun of Sasha for not having a partner. And then, you know, Sasha he calls Dana Little Miss Piggy and says, hey, I'll take you both on. I'm hardcore. And then Charlotte comes out and we get, which makes total sense because Dana Brooke and Charlotte are feuding. So we get Charlotte and Sasha against Dana Brooke and Emma. And I loved, because this is something that Vince would not have thought of. I'm telling you right now, this is something that Vince would have just totally glossed over, because he would have said, oh, everybody's forgot about the fact that Charlotte and Sasha Banks have heat with each other, you know, just some kind of rivalry with each other. Charlotte says, I'm not just going to come in here and be your partner. I want something in return. And we can pretty much all guess what that is, but that's fantastic bit of storytelling there, I have to say. This match wasn't a whole lot. Dana missed the cue, which looked bad. Emma also tapped out before. I don't know. It's Dana tapped out to the bank statement before Charlotte could actually get the figure 8 on Emma, which is also bad. But the rest of it I thought was fine. Wasn't anything, you know, out of this world or whatever. But what do you think?
Yeah, nothing to write home about, but then again, it's a feud continuer. It keeps the Divas division in NXT interesting. Everything is sort of bubbling. Even Sasha Banks and Charlotte, who have been feuding for a long time and now are sort of cooling off on that, there's still that simmering tension there that they're not willing to let go of yet. And, you know, Dana Brooke and Emma are still healing it up, which I appreciate, so.
Yeah, and we get a chance to see Dana Brooke and Emma on a more regular basis. But as of late, really, Charlotte's been here and there, and Sasha Banks has really been more scarce, even more than Charlotte. So it's a nice treat to have both of them on a match, even if they're working together. It gives everybody a plus to watch the show, and it gets you, you know, a little bit more excited about the match. Even though the match didn't end up great or anything, it was okay, not bad, but it was nothing to write home about. at least you got a chance to see both Charlotte and Sasha on this show. So
Yeah, Charlotte and Sasha are kind of like those friendly rivals, sort of. You see Charlotte give Sasha a hug and everything after the match, but Charlotte makes it known, I want the title, and that did so much for me. So we didn't talk about this, but I didn't have a problem with it because the game is about this person, and we've had The Rock on the cover before, but a lot of people were bitching and moaning about the fact that they didn't have a current wrestler on the WWE 2K16 cover. I also love the fact that they had Stone Cold digging up his old Smoking Skull belt. That was pretty cool.
mm-hmm.
How do you feel one way or the other about Stone Cold being the one on the cover and not a current roster member?
I could care less who's on the cover of any video game. Basketball, football, wrestling. So long as it's somebody that people will recognize and might make them look into the game more, that's all they're after. And that's all it exists for. So I'm fine with it. If you're bitching about Stone Cold being on the cover, you need to find something more important to bitch about. Because this certainly ain't it.
Because here's what happens. You open the game, you put the disc in, and who cares anymore?
Right.
You're playing the game. You're not playing the cover.
It goes back to people just finding a way to complain about something in the world of wrestling. We don't like this year's winner of the ladder match because it's this guy. Well, he's an old veteran. Why didn't they have one of the young guys win? Things like that. This is the same thing. They're just using a video game in its place.
Yeah, the people that overly complained about Jericho winning on Beast of the East.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect example, Sean. They don't take into consideration it's a live event. You're just lucky enough to get to see it. At live events, those things happen. A lot of other crazy things happen at live events usually.
And they didn't take into account that Jericho lost to Balor the night before. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and Jericho's an established wrestler in Japan. Trust me, people over there know him very well, and they would be questioning why he didn't win probably if he, losing to Neville. So, anyway, you make a great point. And not only that, Stone Cold Steve Austin has a big part in this game because they have his own story mode. So he has his own big giant part in this. It makes sense, You wouldn't have in a Madden game where Marshawn Lynch had a huge portion of the game, and then you have Larry Fitzgerald on the cover. That's stupid. Marshawn Lynch is a big part of it. Put him on the cover. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what was funny was that, in WWE 13, CM Punk was on the cover, and the biggest mode of the game was Attitude Era mode, and he had nothing to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
exactly. Yep.
Yeah, so before I go on, I have to announce that TNA has once again signed Brian to a multi-year deal. So, just had Chris Lemsey wanted me to tell you.
Oh, okay. Wow, this is a breaking news. Man, I think we should dedicate the rest of the show to this discussion.
Anyway, yeah. Anyway, so after this, we do get Bayley telling us that she's, broke her hand. I think she broke her hand a little bit before this. They're just kind of telling you now, just to kind of make it mean a little bit more, that she wants to be just like Triple H and Stone Cold that came back and won titles. I love hearing that she wants to go after those titles, and she's like, I'm going to give Emma more than just a hug. So she kept it in character, which is wonderful. Hey, are y'all? Sasha did say that she wants her last deal in NXT to be a feud with Bayley because she hasn't done that. Are you all for that? Have Sasha lose the belt to Bayley before she leaves?
Certainly, because I don't know if there's anybody else that's really ready to take up the mantle of being the champion for a longer period of time in the division at this current moment. I certainly think Emma could get there again after some more time. Everybody else that's running around the women's division right now, like Dana Brooke or Carmella, or I'm forgetting Alexa Bliss. Yeah. They're all really green right now. They still need some more time. So having Bayley hold down the fort when the other girls get promoted, I think is a good way to go.
I agree totally. Not only is she good in the ring, she get great promo. Does a lot of things great. So, in saying that, I think that'd be perfect. I wouldn't have it any other way either.
Yeah, if you notice me pointing out the little things, that's because this is what NXT does so well. They have things that maybe they don't last very long or whatever. It's just the little things that like gets you to love NXT. So, and I'll talk about more of these little things as we go on here. So, we have Chad Gable talking to Devin Taylor about Jason Jordan again declining his offer, and Gable is about to say his little catchphrase where he's ready, willing, and Gable, and then Jordan says Gable right before he says it, and he's like, "You're up next week, you and me." And Gable's like, "I knew it. I knew he'd do it." And then he shakes his hand while he has the Gable towel, which is again, just wonderful. It's great. Yep. So I mean, sorry. I mean, Gary was right. We delayed it again for another week, but at least we know we're getting it next week. So
yeah,
which is the last one of these tapings. They tape the next set of shows up until Takeover next Thursday. So, yeah. So after this, we get Solomon Crow in backstage in his crow's nest, which you can see he's there with some technical equipment. And he says that he is NXT's resident little monster, and he's back meaner than ever. I can go with that tagline. Much better than the hacker, dude. I can go with. Speaking of a monster, my God, Marcus Louis comes out like, Kane had a child, and complete with all he was missing was a tank top, and we'd have Corporate Kane's child right there. He came out with the black pants. He came out just like he was talking to himself. I thought we were almost watching True Blood. He was going to turn into a vampire or something. Just like gnawing at the air and just having crazy look on his face. And we find out that's going to be Solomon Crow's opponent. It doesn't last very long, but this is all about Marcus Louis doing his crazy mannerisms during this entire thing. Like his face does so many things. And you also get, Crow doing his stretch muffler to win, which is way better than that stupid, like, whatever the hell that was, headbutt thing that he used to do. He didn't get a whole lot of offense, but I think it was about making kind of both guys, sort of. So, what did you guys think?
My big takeaway from this is I'm glad that Solomon Crow is back using the stretch muffler. Used to be one of his finishing maneuvers when he was on the indie circuit. And this, it's certainly much more devastating looking than his little stupid springboard top rope body splash thing. Because that's just like the weakest finish ever. I won't say the weakest, but one of the weakest finishes ever.
Yeah, I'm always in favor of guys getting a chance to use some of their moves that they had used in the indies, and as basically established moves that they're well versed in, and they can do them without even thinking. And so this is nice to see that they're allowing something like that to take place with Solomon Crow, and with him using this, more aggressive and more, intelligent type of character here, I think it's going to be a lot better. I'm enjoying it. I'm just kind of curious to see more of it.
Anything to make you think Marcus Louis can do anything with whatever it is they're having him do right now?
I don't. He has the potential, I think, to be a really neat, weird character, but I don't know if he has it in him to be scary. He's just not physically imposing enough for me to be like, holy crap, that guy's scary. But I think he could be like some weird guy. I think that would totally work.
What do you think, Gary?
Yeah, I mean, you can just already tell by his mannerisms and things like that. He could definitely sell being weird, being in just a mental case. I mean, he doesn't have I guess in a way he does. I was going to say he doesn't have the luxury of looking like Shaw, because Shaw always you could look at him and think that he was kind of nuts, the human scarecrow. But this guy, I think he does a good job of it, and of course, if as long as he sells it well, I'm okay, and to me he sells it well.
All right, so we finish with Enzo and Cass with Carmella out there against the Vaudevillains. Vaudevillains also got to cut a little promo about how they were gone, but they've already made their way back to the top of the NXT tag division. Well, there's not really that much of a tag division, so, But I thought this was a good 8-minute little main event. Cass got to look strong. You got some, Gotch and Aiden are still pretty good with the tag team stuff. The Vaudevillains win, which they have a lot of time here before you get to the Takeover special. So I'm totally fine if either they wind up making this a triple threat or they have Enzo and Cass wind up beating them later down the line for the tag team number 1 contendership, because they're missing a glorious opportunity if they don't have Enzo and Cass win in New York the tag titles.
Mm-hmm. Completely agree with you. So the build-up to that should be trying to keep these guys looking as strong as possible. I think this match does a good job of that. The Vaudevillains, I think, get the win here with some sort of almost sneak. I don't want to say sneaky, but they take advantage of what usually gets Enzo and Big Cass in trouble, which is Enzo being too small, essentially. But it's a fine match. You got to get the Vaudevillains out of the way quickly, though, because Big Cass and Enzo are definitely the future of that tag division.
Yeah, I know, and very, very entertaining. I'll have to say that, first of all. And besides that, not too bad in the ring. It would make a lot of sense for Enzo and Cass to win the titles, in New York, because that's, of course, hometown and all. But I'm just kind of curious to see, what we're gonna, see from here with the Vaudevillains, because I was not really expecting the Vaudevillains, but they gave that to us, and I'm thinking to myself, change of pace here. How are they going to work this? No, they have a plan. It's kind of cool because now I really want to know how they're going to do it. That's a good thing.
Yeah, I like that this main event because it kind of makes you feel like the tag belts are important, and you kind of need that. So that's NXT.
All right. Well, guys, we have another big show to talk about. That is Lucha Underground. So hold on to your hats. We're going to come back and talk about that. Plus, don't forget, we have some big stuff coming up when we're going to talk Ring of Honor and, of course, TNA. It's going to be a lot of cool stuff left in the show, and we're going to crown a Superstar of the Week, so you got to stick with us. But we'll be right back with Lucha Underground.
So apparently the Lucha Underground wrestlers have been told that possibly in September there might be some tapings, but nothing's confirmed. In fact, even the wrestlers are not really believing it right now. They want some actual confirmation. We'll have to see. We do get a really, oh my god, I don't know what movie or show I'm totally thinking of, but I swear I've seen something like this before, where Mr. Cero Miedo Pentagon Jr. is talking to this cloaked figure, I guess Harry Potter or something, and he's telling his master that he is going to make Ian Hodgkinson his sacrifice. And pretty much telling him, hey, he's not accepting my deal from Ultima Lucha, but I'm going to do something to make him do that. I just like the visual, the fact that we finally got to see a little bit of the Master, sort of Star Wars-y Emperor type thing, cloaked figure, whatever, but it goes along with Lucha. So, we also have Cage and the Mac finally having their little revenge match after the Mac the Cage knocked the Mac around in that locker room. I don't know how many weeks ago. The Mac wins with a roll-up after hitting Superman punch. So, what do you guys think of this little opening and the Mac winning here?
I kind of I'm glad to see that the Master is a being. We see that very clearly. I don't know if I like seeing him as sort of this humanoid, because I really would have loved if the Master was just some sort of abstract being that is somehow deific and all this other stuff. But, I mean, I guess a person's fine too. Cage and the Mac, very good matchup. These two have had multiple encounters in PWG, as far as I'm aware. And they get to bring that to television, which is very cool. And also, the Mac is the only second person to pin Cage, so that's really cool too.
Yeah, and here's the one thing I want to know: why doesn't the Mac get an opportunity to play his theme song? Because Return of the Mac is a beautiful song. I don't know why they don't let him use it. But anyway,
I want to know how much money they got to pay for Return of the Mac.
Come on, that guy obviously isn't making any more music. Just probably a few $100,000. Anyway, so I think it wasn't a bad match, and it's a great way to start the show for me personally. Both these guys showed out pretty well, and anytime Cage is pinned, I'm a little bit amazed because I think the guy is talented, but not only that, he sells that he's a big tough guy in the first place. So.
Yeah. So after this, we get the only other backstage segment that I think I remember here, which is this is the segment that played in the intro, where Son of Havoc is met by Katrina in the locker room. She tells him the Disciples of Death are going to come for the gold, but tonight Death is coming for him because he's facing Mil Muertes. And Eva Lee gets in Katrina's face and tells her to, not tonight. And we get, basically, Katrina just leaves, and so Eva Lee kind of falls on top of Son of Havoc. And then Eva Lee kind of goes sort of like she's thinking about it, gonna kiss him, and then Angelico shows up and he's like, oh God, don't tell me y'all are getting back together again. And they're like, shut up! It was great. Funny stuff from these guys. I love them.
Yeah.
So we also get a interview segment with Pentagon and Vampiro, which builds up nice tension, but you would have thought this is where they had somebody besides Vampiro try to interview Pentagon. But so we get Vampiro basically telling him, hey, look, I get it, but I'm kind of done wrestling. Vampiro wants to know who his master is. Pentagon's obviously not going to tell you. Pentagon's like, man, you're a coward. Why won't you wrestle me at Ultima Lucha? And Pentagon again challenged him to a match. And then Pentagon got in his face. Vampiro did let him know. He's like, look, I'm not a weakling or whatever. If you want to go, we're gonna go. But I'm really not into that right now. I'm good being an announcer. And Pentagon kind of got in Vampiro's face and then left. What do you guys think of the interview?
I really enjoyed the sit-down interview with Vampiro and Pentagon. Despite some rocky booking here with Pentagon since him breaking all the arms, I've been rather entertained with this little feud with Vampiro. It makes sense. Vampiro is legendary enough as far as Lucha goes to where he would be targeted, and Pentagon, of course, is going to do anything he can to make sure he keeps his master happy. So I'm all down with that. And as you said, the trios champions in Eva Lee, Son of Havoc, and Angelico are great. And as Larry over at 401 always says, gloriously dysfunctional.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing with that. I think it is kind of glorious dysfunctional because you at times are thinking, okay, what are they going to do? Are they going to stay together? And then all of a sudden together, it's just a perfect chemistry and it's fun, it's entertaining, and the ring work is well done. So a lot of good things from them. But, looking at Pentagon Jr. and that situation, I think it's something where it's kind of changed my mind on Vampiro a little bit. Not that I don't love him or anything, but I'm enjoying this role he's playing. I really am, and I'm okay with it. I think the angle is fine, and so it's another thing that I enjoy.
Yeah, Paul kind of hit it on the head.
Mm-hmm.
The Vampiro is a legend, makes sense. You're going to do a one-off with him, it's great. So you don't have Vampiro wrestling every week, so it builds up to a big match that, whether you know Vampiro from WCW or from Lucha or whatever, and you go, hey, Vampiro's wrestling this dude that's really awesome. You need to look, check it out. It could draw people in. So, then we get Mil Muertes and Son of Havoc, which I really enjoyed. Son of Havoc plays that great role of, he's cocky, the fans love him, so he kind of does a little bit too much celebrating, and it falls right into what Muertes can do. Muertes also goes out and hits him with weapons, and the Disciples also help take out Angelico and whatever. We get a spear in the flatliner for the win for Mil Muertes, and then he gave Havoc the lick of death as well, which not a good thing.
Well, it certainly does mean that bad things are in your future. And with the Disciples of Death now targeting the trio styles, I think we can all put 2 and 2 together and figure out how well this is going to end for those 3.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, you kind of feel like, man, it's not that long for them to have it, but you know what? Everything's got to change anyway, so I guess I'm okay with it.
Yeah, so we get Tejano in the ring. He talks about how he's always been Mexican. Never been a nice dude, though. He said he's a cheater, but he doesn't turn on people, even though he hates Chavo, and he challenged Chavo to a match. But the crew all of a sudden attacked Tejano, and then Blue Demon comes out for the Sorta save, takes out the crew, and then he takes a chair and whacks Tejano over the head, and Tejano bleeds. Demon's like, look, you're not Mexico, I am Mexico, and I don't need you fighting out battles for me, so we're going to have a match at Ultima Lucha. Blue Demon, Tejano, Ultima Lucha. You guys excited?
I don't know how excited I am, because the last time we saw Blue Demon in a ring, it wasn't the most entertaining of bouts. But with Tejano I like. I don't know if he can carry that, but we're going to learn. And I kind of like this little change, despite Chavo legitimately hurting his leg around this time, I kind of like the swerve here with Blue Demon, where it's not, I don't need you fighting my battles, you're not Mexico, I am Mexico, all this stuff, instead of letting the young guy sort of hog all the glory for him. So I really dug this, actually.
Yeah. It wasn't too bad. Here's the thing. I was kind of curious about myself, and Paul pointed it out. Blue Demon's been a guy that, I don't personally have any history with besides what we saw in Lucha Underground before. I really kind of feel like I'm missing out because of that reason, because I think there's a lot of history there. Apparently he's really respected, especially from the Mexican community. So I feel like I'm missing out on kind of, but then again, I think, besides that, this whole thing worked okay. I didn't have a problem with him being involved and all that. So
he's the first Mexican to ever be the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. Is one of the reasons. His dad was an obscenely popular person in Mexico before he came around too. So he's done a lot for Lucha as far as like mainstream around the world stuff, which is one of the reasons why everybody sort of kind of maybe knows who he is if you're around California or stuff like that too.
Okay.
Fair enough. All right, so we get I'm just going crazy here. So we get our first ever Lucha Atómica, which is an 8-man tag between the AAA Mega Champion Alberto Patron, Sexy Star, Aerostar, and Drago against Superfly, Hernandez, Johnny Mundo, and Jack Evans. So I guess we put everybody that has one of those medallions in here. That's pretty interesting. It only lasts about 10 minutes, but a whole hell of a lot happens in that 10 minutes. It is insane. Just so much stuff. Mundo grabs Sexy Star's tights after rolling through a crossbody and wins for his team. And then after the match, Pentagon just freaking attacks Vampiro from behind, hits him with a chair, tells his master he's going to sacrifice him, and then grabs a tank of gasoline and flickers the Zippo on and tells him that if he doesn't accept, he's going to basically light his whole family on fire. And Pentagon Jr.'s so freaking crazy, you'll believe it. No Cueto this week, but the show much better than last week. What do you guys think of the final segment of the match here?
Can Pentagon Jr. light everybody on fire every week? Because I would be okay with that. I really would be. Rebelos Atomicos action, though, I loved it. Terrific, really fast-paced, over-the-top craziness that Lucha Underground has become sort of famous for in multi-man matches. And this really should be something that they should do more often. Even though they do have a Trios Championship, they don't highlight it enough, in my opinion, sometimes. So, this was really, really fun and a great main event.
Yeah, just a thoroughly great main event, and it was something that you could say, well, if you missed maybe the beginning of the show, if you caught this, you'd be just as entertained or more. So, I didn't think it was bad at all. I enjoyed it.
All right.
There you go.
Well, there's your episode of Lucha Underground.
So that leaves us to go on and move on. So hold your horses, because Paul is going to be right back after this to give us Ring of Honor.
Hold on, I gotta find my... There it is.
All right, Paul.
All right, so we opened the show. We're now back to our actual taped shows that took place after Best in the World. So we're still in New York at Terminal 9 or 5 or whatever the place is called. And we open with Watanabe taking on Dalton Castle. Watanabe still on his learning excursion. Dalton Castle still being awesome. Dalton Castle does get the victory here. And then post-match we have some Silas Young comes out and pretty much tells Castle that he sucks and that Silas Young should have won. So that's not done, but what'd you guys think of this match?
I enjoyed the match. Dalton, I don't know what it is, but anybody that does a deadlift German, you're awesome. So Dalton Castle doing that. Good for me. I'm not the biggest Watanabe fan, but I love the fact that he got to have some fun here. He called over the boys and got them to fan him. And then, Dalton Castle got pissed off. And just some fun stuff. I love the fact that every time, Castle's getting pinned, the boys freaking jump up like they're about ready to, go crazy if something happens. It's just great. And then, that is ridiculous. Men should not be able to interlock in that way, to create a bench for Dalton Castle to sit on, but that was great. Just great. And then Silas Young comes out man on fire and really pissed at the fact that he called himself, Dalton Castle basically called himself the last real man right there. So.
Yep. Dalton Castle, one of my favorites on Ring of Honor. I think that this guy is super talented and he's fun. And of course, the way those guys bent, that was kind of creepy at the end of that promo. But needless to say, I think the right guy went over on this match. And he's fun. He's kind of crazy. There's everything, all the above when it comes to him. It's just good stuff. So. I can understand if some people don't like him, but I don't have any problems with him, and I'm kind of becoming more and more a Dalton Castle fan.
The guy is wonderful. He's also wonderful in Chikara too. He's almost the same character, but less overly on the man love, almost.
Oh, okay, okay.
Next out we have Jay Lethal.
I forgot to talk about this, Paul. What do you think about that Journey in Chikara thing?
Oh, the idea of a Wednesday show? I really like it. I want to know more of what it's about. If it's a history of Chikara, then everybody should watch it. It's a great way to break into the promotion, especially with a promotion that uses its backstory so much on what's happening today. So if that becomes a thing, hopefully we'll be able to talk about it at least a little bit.
You think they're just going to show it on the internet then?
I would think so, but You never know. They said it's going to be on Wednesdays for a limited time. That tells me a limited run on the internet, but who knows?
Sweet.
Yeah. So back to Ring of Honor. Jay Lethal. Well, first Nigel McGuinness comes out. He brings out Jay Lethal, who's got the House of Truth with him. The fans are all about Lethal. I'm all about Lethal. We're all having a good time. And then Nigel has to be a party pooper and say, hey, Lethal, you got to give up the belt. And our boy Jay Lethal, of course, tells Nigel that he earned both titles and he ain't dumping either one of them. And will defend both of them on same nights if that is what it takes. So that's pretty much what we got. Lethal's keeping both belts. He's got Roderick Strong and Death Before Dishonor round about a month, or about half a month away, 15 days, I think. But what do you guys think about the segment?
I really liked it. I love the fact that he interacted with the crowd. He told them, hey, I don't need you to validate me. I've already validated myself. He said the whole deal about how Ring of Honor is great, but I'm the one that makes Ring of Honor great. Just all the stuff that you need him to say. Truth was great in this as well. I love that they went with the whole storyline of he's defending both belts because it just makes it that much more awesome. Nigel looked really pissed at the fact that he was going to defend both belts too, so I'll give Nigel credit for that. Just Lethal going out there and looking like a champ.
Yeah, I mean, this guy is, a lot of fun, but not only that, he had such a great promo. And I loved getting a chance to see more details on what was going to happen. And, splitting the belts up, makes this guy work harder on any show that they're doing, an pay-per-view or whatever. And that was stated, and I love that. I'm loving that I didn't have to hear someone else talk about it or be a part of another discussion, that you actually heard right here about it and why they're doing what they're doing, kind of. So it's interesting. It really, really is. I'm kind of curious to see what's going to happen. But I'll just say this, Jay Lethal is prepared to move on and still shine, and I love it.
Yes, any and all Jay Lethal is good Jay Lethal. Mm-hmm. And sadly, that's all the Jay Lethal we get on this episode, because we move on to our main event. 6-man tag team action, The Kingdom, Matt Taven, Michael Bennett, and Adam Cole taking on Michael Elgin and Red Dragon. This was really fun. Cole continues to tease the face turn away from The Kingdom. I think Michael Elgin on the commentary team is sort of talking about how much he's sort of changed since Best in the World, and he's sort of looking like he might be doing a face turn. So it looks like they're trying to line up as many challengers for Jay Lethal as possible right now, and I am completely okay with that.
Yeah, that's totally fine. You need to line up all your challengers, because after Roderick Strong, you got to have somebody else to come in front of him. Michael Elgin's going to be all three of the team of Elgin and then Red Dragon are going to be over there doing stuff with G1. So Team New Japan for a little while against the Kingdom and Adam Cole. I liked the little promo at the beginning too, with Maria kind of telling her, saying it's not his fault, but they're kind of giving him one more shot here. Maria puts all the blame on herself, and So was Adam Cole the leader of the Kingdom, or was it always Maria? Because Carino made it some kind of big deal, like she said that.
So Adam Cole is responsible for bringing the Kingdom together. But with his injury, you could argue about who was the leader after that, because he's been gone for a fair while. And when he got hurt, the Kingdom had been around for a short amount of time. And he was out for, 6-8 months almost?
Yeah. So
it's been sort of Maria and them running the shots as the Kingdom, pretty much. So you could sort of take whoever you want as leader.
Okay. The match was really good. I enjoyed it. Got a lot of crash and burns. Good stuff. Again, Adam Cole loses. He even, does the whole... I like the fact that they're doing this whole teasing the face turn. It's going to be interesting to see where we go from here. And again, I like Kingdom much more better in ROH.
So.
What do you think, Gary?
Yeah, I mean, the Kingdom is still, to me, is the top. Not of the whole. I'm just talking about when it comes to some of my favorite tag teams, especially in just the independent promotions and all that. I think the Kingdom is great. They're fun. But you know what the missing piece was, and we just talked about them at Dominion, definitely Cole. And this guy is just so great with them. They actually mean something. Without him, they're kind of sketchy. Not sure if they really should mean what they mean. Things like that. So, a great talent there. And I don't know. I mean, I just, for me personally, I like, I like this match because it was almost like, okay, hey, the best are going to go against the best. And, of course, you got to see Red Dragon be a part of this too. So I love the match. I thought it was fun and I enjoyed it.
Well, that's your Ring of Honor.
Yeah. So, well, guys, we got one more show review for you. Don't forget as well, we are going to crown a Superstar of the Week. You don't want to miss that. But now we are going to move on and talk some Impact. We'll be right back.
TNA Impact Wrestling.
Did we talk about those ratings on here yet?
I don't believe so.
No.
So, Impact, with the first week of EC3 being champion and EC3 being all over the show, by the way, gained almost 100,000 viewers. They went to 353,000 viewers from the 269 or 67,000 from last week. ROH went down. They got about 128,000. Their replay, which airs at 11 after Impact's first airing, actually did better than their first airing, 134,000. TNA's replay actually went up 50,000 as well. They got over 100,000 for the replay. So, obviously great things for EC3. That him being champion means something. I think also somebody telling somebody about the fact that they had the big cliffhanger at the end kind of helped. And knowing that you're going to bring Dixie back, I think kind of helped draw some people in too. Because when Dixie shows up, something big's going to happen. I think whoever read spoilers probably thought we were going to get the GM here, which I don't know if we want to say who the GM's going to be or not. Up to you guys.
Well, I mean, we never really do, so
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, what do you think that says about ROH and TNA as far as the ratings go?
I think it means EC3 is money. Plain and simple.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue with that, but not only that, I mean, there's fluctuating ratings. I mean, I can't jump on board that this is just all of a sudden, just it means success right away. But I love the fact that EC3 is a part of it because I'm a big fan. So I'm on board, and if he's the reason, hey, keep him coming.
It's good that Impact works as a lead-in, but if I'm ROH, I'm worried because I've dropped consecutively the last 3 weeks. So that's something to take note of. And considering that last week's was really not an original episode, and then this week's was where first time you see your champion, I don't know. I hope nothing bad happens because Jay Lethal deserves to have that for a while, for all he's done. But anyway, getting to TNA, basically EC3 comes out at the beginning to, talk about how he is champion now, undefeated, unsubmitted, all that stuff. And, he's going to just, he's going to have his Aunt Dixie here in charge of the festivities. So we know we're going to see her. And then Matt Hardy comes out. Basically, he wants a title shot. And that's the theme a lot for tonight. We get a lot of different guys saying they want a title shot. Matt wants a hashtag of Matt for champ. I don't know about that, Matt. Sorry. I don't know that anybody wants you for champ right now. So Matt threatens EC3 and Tyrus, and we get a Barney chant. And so Matt Hardy has to face off against the Dirty Heels by himself, because Matt had already been booked in a tag match, but Jeff is injured. So pretty much Bobby Roode comes in when he's not supposed to, and Austin Aries gets a pin. So yeah, pretty much figured Dirty Heels are going to win here.
Yeah, EC3, any and all EC3 is good EC3, and we get a whole lot of them during this episode, which certainly makes Impact much more enjoyable to watch, in my opinion. The Dirty Heels Matt Hardy thing, it was fine, I guess. I mean, it was 5 minutes. It's more sort of to get Hardy almost, I don't want to say out of the way, but, you know, obviously anybody who's going to run up against EC3 is going to run into a fair few roadblocks before you get to them. And if it's going to be through manipulating booking, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, hey, you're right. And, you know, another thing that interests me in this, and this is just because we pay attention in the news, Austin Aries is headed over to Ring of Honor and is a part of their roster now. So how many more tapings do we going to have Austin Aries? I don't know, but
I think
at
least a couple more.
There's a couple more?
I think one more at least. Or yeah.
Yeah, but, you know, needless to say, I don't know how many we do have, but what I do know is the Dirty Heels are fun. I enjoy them as a team just because I like both these guys, Bobby Roode and Aries, but they do a good job here. You know, for what short time it was a good little fun match.
Well, considering, anything you want to see Austin Aries do now that he's back in ROH, Paul?
Anything and everything, really. There's a lot of, I mean, him and ACH would be cool. Him and Lethal obviously would be cool. Him and Strong revisiting the Gen Next stuff now that they're pretty much, I know they've already sort of done the part where they Gen Next was like, well, we are the main event now, and well, now they're more than the main event. They're these big time superstars all across the nation. So that could be really fun to revisit. Him and Moose, I think the possibilities for him in ROH are endless.
Yeah, especially when we get a chance to see.
Is he there like full time now? I thought he kind of sounded like a Samoa Joe thing where he's kind of doing something until maybe he like finds something else, or
I guess that depends on how much the NXT rumors are true, and I guess that depends on whether he thinks GFW is an option or not.
Yeah, very true. But, you know, I don't even consider going to GFW until I get my match against Hamburger. Or Cheeseburger, excuse me. Cheeseburger, yeah.
Everybody wants to wrestle Cheeseburger.
So. Oh, definitely. Liger's favorite wrestler.
Yeah, and then, of course, the internet decided to troll and announce for that 17th show that it was between Nakamura against Austin Aries. And it was an old photo. I thought it kind of looked sketchy because it was a really old Nakamura pose or whatever. And, you know, everybody was kind of announcing it and stuff. And it was like, well, it's not true. They did announce that ODB is going to wrestle Nane Takahashi on that show, who's from Stardom and other various female Japanese promotions. So that's pretty cool. Even though, of course, people were complaining about that, too. So, you know, always people complaining about who should wrestle who. But, okay, if now that we have the NXT in Brooklyn and ROH Field of Honor on the same night, same time, no one's wanted to change their time or anything, apparently. Obviously, we only have one match announced for TakeOver, which is Balor against Kevin Owens again, and the rematch. And we have 4 matches announced for Field of Honor, which is Okada against Strong, right? And
I think something like that.
War Machine against Killer Elite Squad. Why am I blanking right now?
It's a stacked ass show so far, is all I remember.
Stacked butt show. So, which show were you going to if you can only choose one?
Well, ROH, because they have the New Japan talent, and that's not an everyday occurrence here in the States. So, I mean, unless NXT comes at you with some killer card out of nowhere, I'd still go ROH.
You know, I would have to go ROH because of the fact what Paul just mentioned. But the one thing that, you know, they always talk about who draws. Okada draws me to go buy an ROH ticket and leave the NXT ticket behind. But besides that, yeah, the New Japan talent definitely gets you involved, and you know that's not an everyday occurrence. So I think the only thing that would steal my ticket away, and I'd lean more to NXT, is if Ken Shamrock showed up on NXT.
Oh yes.
So.
Of course, Gary. I kind of get to cheat because I'm going to the NXT Miami show here in a couple weeks, so I would choose ROH. I think it would have to be ROH unless, like Paul said, that they have some ridiculous card. I am kind of surprised that they're not doing Owens and Balor on NXT and just letting Owens be on the main roster, that they're going to have him wrestle both nights, basically. Are you guys kind of surprised a little bit that they're having Owens wrestle both nights?
If we're talking about keeping NXT a viable brand like they keep talking about, then no. They need it. People, they have injuries that they're trying to work with at the top of the card. If they're worried about people coming to the show, then this is a great way to get them to show up through the door.
All right.
Yeah. And if you're talking about Kevin Owens not winning the U.S. title yet, then that makes sense for him to face off against Balor.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. So let's get back to TNA. The Rising basically announced that they're done. Drake kind of is glad that, or Eli Drake is kind of glad that Galloway brought him in. And Galloway says he promises to still stand up for wrestling and against the BDC or whatever. Yeah, so basically after that we get the Revolution, everybody but James Storm, Biss, Manic, and Koya against Drew Galloway, because does EC3 come out here? I can't remember. I think he does, right?
Yeah, I think he was already at commentary, right?
Yeah, he's doing commentary, I believe.
Yeah, he's at commentary making fun of him. And basically, somehow Drew Galloway beats all three of the guys because they don't matter. With a kick to the face at Manic in about 2 minutes. Yeah.
Isn't this the part of the show where EC3 pretty much make crying noises at Drew Galloway?
Yeah, exactly.
Wonderful. I'm just going to take every moment I can in this show to talk about EC3.
Yeah, I'm on
Paul's
board.
good friend, EC3.
My good friend, EC3, that's right.
That's right, yeah. So, now, yeah, this is another match that, it did what it did. I mean, Galloway winning, cool, whatever. What was most important to me and what made me celebrate more than anything was the Rising being gone.
Yeah.
All right. So after this, we had Mr. Anderson talking EC3 about how he'd love a title match, but he's facing Bram next. And yeah, this was actually pretty decent, I thought. We do get Bram freaking hitting Anderson in the head with his house mic, which looked nasty. Mr. Anderson wins by DQ because Bram does his normal I don't give a crap about the match, I just wanted to kick your ass kind of thing. But yeah, what do you think?
Oh, this had Mr. Anderson, so I was out.
It had Bram.
Yeah,
I am
Bram.
okay with Bram. And I'm okay with them sticking to the idea that even though this match wasn't no DQ, for some reason, even though I thought all of Bram's matches were supposed to be no DQ, he still goes with the DQ to beat the crap out of Mr. Anderson, which I will appreciate at any turn.
Oh man, this was okay. To me, it was nothing super special. I mean, honestly, it's kind of forgettable. Not saying being I'm a big Bram fan too, but nothing much.
All right. After this, I thought we got a little bit of a surprisingly good match between Jesse and Robbie E. We get a Jesse's better, no he's not chant. Oh boy. Did y'all catch that now they're calling, instead of Sasha, now Dana's the ratchet one? How do you guys feel about that?
I just miss Hoskies.
Yeah, we haven't seen the Hype Bros in a while. They went on a winning streak and then disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you guys think about this? We got Robbie kicking out of power bombs through the chairs, which is ridiculous. Then we get Jesse pinning Robbie under a chair and then putting in the Adonis crab, and Robbie E won't tap out, so there's a ref stoppage, and Jesse wins via ref stoppage.
I thought this was pretty good for what it's worth. I don't know if we should have gotten this sort of all-out thing here, but it's whatever. I do appreciate that they're trying to make us care, though. They're trying so hard to make us care about these two. And this match, I think, went a long way to fixing some of the problems I had with it, but I don't know if you should have this level of match sort of so close after Slammiversary.
Yeah, it is kind of odd to have it this close, and
Slammiversary didn't matter, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that's not a problem.
Yeah. Man, I just got that headache back. Thanks a lot.
Well, we also get Lastly basically telling EC3, you better be giving me a title shot out of one of these 3 matches that you're having, right? And then Lastly goes against Tyrus. And yeah, then we get the Jeff Jarrett interview where Jarrett talks about, well, both promotions are going to be working together. TNA is now one of the many federations that are part of the Global Force Global Network. That just makes TNA look so low rent, I'll tell you. Just saying. TNA has a TV show. GFW does not. Like, TNA is supposed to be the number 2 wrestling company in the United States. GFW should be wanting to join them, not the other way around. Oh boy. I don't know. I still don't know how this does anything for TNA. And then also, Jeff is going to be taking the King of the Mountain title with him to Global Force Wrestling. What? Like, how is anybody okay with this? Like, oh boy.
So it's basically Viking Jeff Jarrett raping and pillaging TNA.
Oh, dear God.
Gary, there was another way you could have said that. Just saying.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is supposed to be PG.
Yes.
He's not giving
now
them.
I'm going to have to put the explicit tag on there.
Hey, y'all have already dropped the F-bomb.
I dropped the F-bomb twice on the show.
So my point being, though, is you said it right, Sean. This does not give TNA any favors. It does not do anything. The sad thing about this is that Jeff Jarrett, the way he speaks, if I'm any promoter, not just TNA, if I'm any promoter, I'm like, well, dear God, it sounds like I'm just your underling, and GFW is the giant umbrella, and I'm just underneath it. Jeff Jarrett needs to speak better. Maybe it's because he's married to who he's married to. He talks down to everybody. That's the way I feel about it.
If GFW is working the way it's supposed to, and it gets to that point, that's what it's supposed to feel like, I feel. Because Jeff Jarrett has explicitly said GFW is following sort of a more modern approach to the way the National Wrestling Alliance used to work back in the day. So if TNA is still a thing when GFW is up and running, then it will be, I don't want to say treated as secondary, but it's treated as sort of a satellite you have all these things happening, and GFW can bring in your guys to sort of help out their shows. So, I don't know how TNA wins in this either, especially with them circling the drain. I'm wondering if this is just a way to make sure that some of their guys have a place to work afterwards. Because I don't see them winning out of any of this. None of the stuff that GFW is going to be doing is going to help TNA whenever their guys get over there, other than giving them some more money in their paychecks.
Mm-hmm. Let's just hope that Toby Keith has enough money to pay for that giant umbrella.
Yeah, let's hope. So we get EC3 doing 2 out of the 3 of his title matches. He wrestles Nerve Fernum, who, if we remember, this was his first ever match in TNA. Thank you, TNA, for having some nice callbacks. I appreciated this. EC3 also wrestles Shark Boy. The Shark Boy still makes me laugh with his total, Austin impression. Lasts less than a minute there. And then EC3 is really exhausted. Tyrus kind of fans him in the corner even. And Kurt Angle comes out. And he basically wants his rematch. And he wants it tonight. So, yeah, it's real. We get Lashley versus Tyrus. Lashley wins with the spear. I don't know that it was really much of anything. But yeah, we have a little interlude here, so what do you guys think?
EC3's championship defenses are a thing of brilliance. North Fernum, Shark Boy. I think his third one is against somebody even more low rent than those two. Yeah, Kurt Angle. The Tyrus and Lashley thing, I share a lot of the same feelings as Larry did on 401. If Tyrus was ever treated as anything more than what he is, this might have looked threatening to Lashley. Instead, it's just pretty much a squash. Because Tyrus has looked like complete poop.
I really feel bad for Tyrus because he thought he was going to be something.
Mm-hmm.
He leaves WWE because he's tired of, even though he was kind of doing something for himself in NXT, I thought. And then he leaves, and he really doesn't do anything better for himself.
Right.
It's just the biggest, saddest thing. And I just saw an interview with Tyrus, or Rose Clay, what do you want to call him? And he said he was so angry because he had no idea about the GFW stuff and all this. And some guy walked up to him and says, hey, look there. Now you get to work with GFW if you want to. And he says, get away from me. Because he said he was so angry. And it's because he's got no respect at all. He's been given no respect. Not him, but he's been given no respect. This poor guy, I mean, I just feel terrible for him. And just to speak on the EC3 thing, that was cool. I mean, I always love getting a chance to see Shark Boy. And so, good stuff from that.
Yeah. Tenay does interview Jarrett about... Thank God that they got rid of Karen Jarrett for this one, because the first one, Karen Jarrett was like groping Jeff Jarrett. It was just as ridiculous. Like, it's like, who's going to come in and steal Jeff Jarrett, Karen? Just go away. Thank you. We have Jarrett reminiscing about what made TNA great, and he basically talks about all the TNA originals made it great, including Don West and Mike Tenay. Sorry, Josh Matthews, you still suck. Yeah, so, yeah, that's cool that he put over TNA. We get Madison Rayne and Velvet. At least Velvet's continuing into another feud, and it's not just going on and on with Angelina. Madison kind of tells Velvet that she deserves to still be over there with the fans. The match doesn't last very long. We get a kick wham stunner, and yeah, Velvet wins. Velvet also has new music too, by the way.
So, I mean, Velvet's just back and pissed off, right? That's about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yep. What can you say?
Impersonating Stone Cold, so.
Yeah. Although it was cool to see the red, white, and blue in the hair. That was neat.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's that. I mean, it's fine. I mean, she's going after her former Beautiful People mates. I guess she's gonna go one by one through the Divas their Knockouts division, which is gonna be really weird when I guess Taryn and Kong just disappear out of nowhere, and I guess it's gonna be Gale against Velvet. Okay.
What they need to do is have Velvet chasing, like maybe Kong and Taryn Terrell kind of decide that they're going to put their differences aside and that they're going to be friends, and they get in a limo and Velvet blows it up. I just don't know why that just came to me out of a vision. I think they should do it. It always helps with promotion to do those kind of things. Trust me.
Book it, TNA.
I mean, it would be kind of funny to see Awesome Kong in the dollhouse.
Oh, man.
It would add to the peculiarity of everybody. Just to add another weird one.
Yeah. No. Yeah. But you bring up a good point. That's another, departure. I'm really curious to see how they're going to end that thing, or if they're just not going to bring him back at all.
Yeah, we'll have to see with that one, I guess. So after this, we get I think there was did somebody really chant "We Love Velvet"?
I don't know.
I'm seeing this, but yeah. Anyway, we get the title match, which ends in chicanery because of TC3. Even though Angle was pretty much gonna win there with the he was tapping out, but EC3 apparently called for the bell, and Carter got DQ'd for what reason? I forgot.
He punched the ref.
Oh, okay, yeah, he punched the ref. Which again, we're just, I don't know. How many times do we get ref bumps? But this is still funny because it's EC3. He's obviously trying to DQ himself on purpose. And then this leads into Aunt Dixie coming back, which all of us cringed for a bit there. Hey, at least Aunt Dixie has learned the error of her ways and is not putting herself over. She basically understands that EC3's gotten full of himself, he's a horrible person, and that basically somebody has left it up to not Dixie, but somebody else will be now in charge of TNA because TNA belongs to the fans, not EC3 and not Dixie. And then next week we find out the Dollhouse are going to be wrestling and that the X Division titles will be on the line. So, yep, there's your TNA. What'd you think of the final segment of the show and the cliffhanger where we don't introduce the new authority figure until next week?
I dig the cliffhanger. You can spend that whole episode setting up everything you want with the new authority figure. EC3 and Kurt Angle, I kind of wish was over. It's not, and I guess that's okay too, because I don't know who else is really in a position, especially once we start getting into tapings where we have like nobody around who's going to challenge EC3. So I guess Kurt Angle might be your really only viable option.
Yeah.
Not a bad way to end, and of course with Dixie, kind of playing the face. It's very weird. Whatever. We'll get past that. But, in the long run, the cliffhanger is great. You want people coming back for more. This makes you want to come back for more. And if you don't know who it is, then you're really excited to find out. So, good. I think they did a great job on the end of this show. Not bad at all.
Well, what do we rate TNA this week?
It was all EC3 this week, so 7 out of 10.
There wasn't anything great on the wrestling side, like Raw, but they made up for it with storyline. I'm gonna say same as Raw, 6.5.
Fair enough. I think this is a better TNA than we've seen. Probably, like Paul said, EC3 probably has me convinced it is at least. I'm gonna go 7 too. I think it was not bad at all. So. All right, well, that is TNA Impact. course, next week we'll be letting you know more information about what's going to be going on. But, of course, we are going to move on, everybody, and we are going to crown a Superstar of the Week. So we'll do that right after this.
Superstar of the Week.
All right, Paul, who do you got?
Alrighty, where's my list? There it is. Number 5, I gave to Hiroki Goto, successfully defending his IC title against Shinsuke Nakamura in an amazing rematch at Dominion this past Sunday. 3 and 4, go to John Cena and Cesaro. Absolutely tremendous match on Raw. Nobody can discount that. 2 goes to Kushida. Terrific match. Wins the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship from Kenny Omega in an outstanding matchup. Number 1, got to go to Okada. New IWGP Champion. Amazing match with AJ Styles.
All right, Sean.
My list is the exact same. So.
Oh, wow. Gotta love that, and mine is pretty close. Not exactly the same, but pretty close to you guys. I've got a number 5. Let's see here. I have actually got John Cena and Cesaro both. I couldn't pick one or the other. I've got them in the same boat. At 4 is Anderson and Gallows. They did a great job. They won tag belts, and then of course Kushida is my number 3. I know that's lower than you guys, but I've got to give props to Balor. He did such a great job.
Oh yeah,
I know.
we didn't. Oh man,
I've got to give Balor credit. NXT, big time. I kind of thought, well, how am I going to rank the belts? And the NXT title technically, and if you're talking about the Indies, is a major belt. So Balor for number 2 for me, and number 1 is Okada, of course. So there you go. Okada.
I don't know how I forgot about Balor. I'm gonna put him at number 3 and cheat like you did and put Cesaro and Cena at 4 and put Goto at 5. Then.
Fair enough. Definitely. So, all right. Well, Okada is our Superstar of the Week, and most deservingly so. Once again, if you haven't checked out Dominion, and there is a free trial out there, go take advantage of it. Go enjoy it. We enjoyed it. And, of course, we talked about it. So don't forget to go check out that show that we did, that special that we did Sunday night. That is on demand. You can find it wherever you listen to us. So, well, guys, this is pretty much the wrap-up of our show. We've had a really good show this week. I've really enjoyed it. It's been a blast. It doesn't hurt that we've had some pretty decent shows to talk about, and at least different, events and topics. So, hopefully next week we'll have lots of better stuff for you to talk about. I think we'll be doing is next week the ramp up to Battleground, right, guys? Or is it?
So next week will be the preview to Battleground.
Yeah. So we'll have a big preview for you guys, and we have a special guest we have lined up. Now, I won't give him away just in case for some reason it falls through.
Let's not. Okay, it's not.
There's no.
Wrestler.
Yeah, no.
I don't want to tease it like that.
No, but it's a personal. Let's just say this: between all 3 of us guys have a really good friend, and he is going to be hopefully part of our show. So anyway, saying all that, we are looking forward to it, and we're going to have a good, good amount of stuff for you guys. But go ahead, Sean. Why don't you give a few plugs?
All right. So we did the co-op multi last night. Had 2 weeks of news to sift through. There's a PS Plus game that's free that I got to play with Randy for like an hour before we started called Rocket League. It's awesome. If you have PS Plus and you have a PS4, go download that game. You are a car, you drive it around, and you play soccer with the car. It is awesome. That's all I got to say. Just go play that. Anyway, we're doing football to football when we finish here. So, yeah, that's another hour or so of us me and Gary having to be awake. But we're going to be, whenever you listen to it on demand, we're doing our first division preview. Christopher Hale, who we've had on here a couple weeks in a row, or a couple shows in a row, and Stephen Davis is also from our W2M group. will be helping us break down the AFC West. And Randy's also going to break down the Big 12 for us, along with doing his baseball segment. So that'll be plenty for you to listen to there. And, of course, always listen to our buddies over there at the Raw Reaction, along with us on the VOC Nation, Greg DeMarco as well, and Mr. Steven Randall on the TWE After Dark. And I think that's all who we usually plug, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Podcasts. Huh.
Yeah. If we're forgetting anybody, please forgive us and let us know. Sorry. But I think that's all of the people we usually
And rate and review on iTunes and Stitcher. There's been a bunch of them show up for W2M, quite a few for the other two podcasts as well. So appreciate and love everybody who's been doing that. It has helped us, draw some nice numbers that we haven't had in a long while since we dropped the other feed. So really appreciate that.
Definitely. So we want to make sure that we give everybody a chance to, do what they want to do. That's like, be a part of our Facebook group and just have a great time. We love talking wrestling. This is a wrestling fan podcast. We do it for you guys. We have a blast doing it. So, hey, it always helps to spread the word, get the word out, let other people know about us. And, let's get this group going. That way people can enjoy it. Well, pretty much that's it, guys. We've had a blast, but we've got to move on. So always remember, if you're not living life to the max,
not living life at all.
You know it.
Peace.
Later.